15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
He's the reigning Fortnite champion. She's a Call of Duty legend. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Well, happy Thanksgiving Eve. Welcome to the show, Maggie. Great, Andrew Perloff. So we've been talking about Michigan for weeks and weeks and weeks because, Perloff, they're at the center of this big scandal. And it feels like it's all culminating with the game, with the big game on Saturday, because Jim Harbaugh is going to be serving his suspension, not going to be on the sideline. And this is like, to me, sort of feels like the end of like this big story, because this is the moment that both these two teams, like, it all comes down to this game and Harbaugh is not going to be there. Weirdly, I think that there's so many built-in excuses for Michigan. They've been at the center of this, like, bleep storm, hailstorm, sandstorm, whatever you want to say. But if they lose this game to Ohio State, they're going to have excuse after excuse after excuse. And somehow Jim Harbaugh has become more popular and gotten more power at Michigan, even though he's the one at the center of the scandal.
Well, I think he was already very popular and also a lot of power. They did hold off his extension reportedly. So I don't think he could have gotten more popular because he's the best coach they've had, obviously. I'm not sure I see it that way. I assume the college football is scripted like the NFL. Doesn't feel like this movie is going. The movie has to keep going after this. This can't be the last game of the Michigan season. We need to see them in the Final Four. We need to see him holding the glass trophy and making the NCAA so uncomfortable. Because I love college football awkwardness, and them advancing would lead to the most awkward Final Four. It would be fantastic. Obviously, I think either team that wins is going to win the Big Ten title game. So I want to see this movie keep going. The other thing, too, this is the first time in a long time Michigan's been favored. So this is the year for Michigan. Everyone came back to win a national title this year, and they have Ohio State down. This is the year they got to win it, because if they don't win it this year, I can't see. I think the two programs are headed in slightly different directions.
Oh, see, I think it's different. Michigan loses this game in the Big House. Ryan Day and Ohio State goes up and beats them. They're going to say, we got sandbagged by the Big Ten. All this pressure to suspend Harbaugh, and they never had to, the investigation wasn't fully complete. The NCAA investigation isn't complete. This has been a witch hunt on Harbaugh. The details of this have been salacious. You don't have proof that everyone else was doing it. Like, they're going to play victim here, as they've done throughout this entire process, right? They have only acted like victims, and they are going to continue if they lose this game. And I don't even know if Harbaugh's going to have any kind of communication with this team, but he's obviously not going to be there for a big fourth down call. And they are going to use that, and their fans will use that to say, this was all fugazi. If we had had our coach there, and if we had not had this swirling winds of the scandal, then we would have won this game. Because on paper, they are the better team.
I hear you saying that, but if they step back and say, this was the year, this was the design. I think they're going to lose 16 players in the NFL draft this year, including probably their quarterback and their star running back. So I don't understand, if Michigan can't beat Ohio State and win in the Final Four this year, then why is Harbaugh even staying? Because it's never, ever going to happen. It's not. If it's not this year, it's not happening. Because there's no J.J. McCarthy sitting behind J.J. McCarthy. I think they're in big trouble if they don't win this game. I think they're about to take a big step back.
See, I think the irony on this, if you're talking about coaches and Harbaugh, despite being at the middle of this, and I can't really say he orchestrated it, but he definitely, if he didn't know, he should have known about, someone on his staff doing this advanced scouting. It's definitely against the rules, all that. Ironically, I think if he loses, he still has really good standing and position at Michigan, right?
Oh, yeah.
He might want to go to the NFL. He might want to say, bleep you to the NCAA. He might want to get out from under all this and have a fresh start somewhere. Hell, he's been interviewing with NFL jobs, for the last couple of years. Ironically, the team that's not at the middle of the scandal, Ryan Day, I think that he has way more to lose here. he loses to Michigan in this season, I think that he's probably feeling the hot seat, right or wrong. He's feeling the hot seat more than Harbaugh, and Harbaugh's the guy with the scandal.
I've never understood this Ryan Day hot seat thing. To me, I can't imagine inside the industry people feel that way, because I think he's one of the most respected coaches. They've done nothing but win. How can you put this coach on the hot seat? How many losses does he have this year? 0.
Yeah.
How many losses does he usually have? 0 or 1. Imagine losing. They can't let him walk out the door. That'd be insane.
Well, it does sound insane, but this fan base, I think, would look at it and say, you won with Urban's players. You haven't beat Michigan in 2 years. Like, this job, I think the Ohio State job is almost like, I'm not going to say it's easy. It's definitely not easy.
Yeah.
But Ohio State doesn't really go through big lulls, right? Like, they are always good. So to coach this team to be a national title contender, it's not like you're starting from 0 and you got to climb this big mountain every year. You're basically kind of starting like pretty high up on the peak. And we've seen other teams who are up there go through big swings and dips, and Ohio State doesn't really do that.
But isn't this year the lull? I mean, we've watched
They're undefeated.
Yeah, but they have Kyle McCord at quarterback. Come on.
They
went
beat
from
Notre Dame
CJ
on the road. I mean, they've huge wins
the
despite the
Notre
fact
Dame
that they might be quote-unquote down.
That's a huge win to beat an average Notre Dame team, like, what was it, 14-12 or something? That game was kind of sad. The Penn State game was kind of sad. This is not Ohio State this year.
Every Penn State game is sad.
This is a facsimile of Ohio State. I know they've beaten up on some bad Big Ten teams the last couple of weeks, but I think everyone who's smart, in my mind, forgives them because they screwed up on quarterback. Kyle McCord, I love him. He's a Philly guy. He should not be the quarterback. Ohio State if they lose this game, they're going to go out next year in the transfer portal and get this number 1 guy out there and bring back the high-octane Ohio State. Right now, it feels like I know TreVeyon Henderson's back, but it feels like a more one-man offense than I ever remember. They're so slow on offense that I think Michigan has a huge advantage here because they're just going to pound them with a run like they've been doing. But think about the last few years. Ohio State's gone in huge favorites and lost. This year is the first time in a long time they've been underdogs.
Okay.
So they're underdogs. They're not supposed to win this game. They're going against a better team on the road. How can you kill Ryan Day for losing this game?
Because the other team doesn't have their head coach on the sideline.
I think we all know that head coaches on game day are not as important as we think.
Despite what Tom Brady said, I think the college football coaches on game day are very important. I think it is important. The other part, too, is you could say for Ryan Day, and I think what an Ohio State fan would say is the reason why we lost the last 2 years may have had something to do with the sign stealing scandal. If Michigan, because you know about winning and losing, Perloff, it's like really on the margins here. If they even had a 5% better chance, something like that could swing things. And the fact that CJ Stroud did have these bad games against Michigan when he's obviously awesome, he's great against Georgia. He's been killing it in the NFL. So I just think there is a lot here more on Day. But as for Harbaugh, ironically, less pressure on him. Every built-in excuse in the book. And it's going to start and end with we're getting hosed and we're getting the old screw job by the Big Ten.
Yeah, I don't think Harbaugh is going to view it that way because I think this was a perfect storm for a Michigan year. This was it. Honestly, he wants to win a national title. He hasn't won a Super Bowl and hasn't won a national title. Right. I'm telling you right now, if they don't win it this year, it's not happening anytime soon. I don't even know how long he's going to stay there. It feels like, I said this originally, it feels like the scandal is actually ironically going to keep him there longer just to prove a point because he's become Mr. Defiant guy. But I don't know how on the field they're going to continue to do this. The Big Ten's about to get better with some of those Pac-12 teams coming. I think there's a lot of
pressure. But the college playoff is expanding.
The 12, yeah, that's a good point. That might be a savior, but I don't even see them as a top 12 team next year. I think Ohio State is going to be loaded. They can reload and become this high-octane offense again because Ryan Day is a great play caller. Is Michigan going to be able to reload like that? They're losing everybody this year.
Well, but listen, you're a team that now has, won the last 2 over Ohio State. You've been in the college football playoff. Like, that should help your recruiting. All of this should help. And you're Michigan. You should be able to recruit no matter what.
But has Michigan really been a national title contender in the last 25 years? Not really.
Well, I mean, I watched them, one play away from the national title game. I don't know if they would have beaten Georgia, but they probably would have put up a better showing than TCU.
Yeah, I think that this is under Harbaugh, they've become a much different team in the sense that you really look at them. It used to be their Super Bowl was beating Ohio State. Now I think their Super Bowl is winning the national title. And by the way, when we go to 12 games, that Ohio State-Michigan rivalry is going to mean much less. I mean, 12 games is gutting all the rivalries because if Michigan and Ohio State aren't playing for the playoff, it definitely takes a little bit of the pressure away.
Okay, but here's the thing about that. I think we should talk about it because there is something about this year being the final season of just 4 teams in the playoff that almost feels a little like the end of a mini era, right? Like the end of a mini era where the rivalries still meant everything because so much is on the line in situations like this with Michigan and Ohio State. I don't think that the rivalries will be so watered down that they're unrecognizable anymore. I still think it's going to mean something because you, first of all, have all the history and all that stuff, but secondly, you're still gonna have to be jockeying for some kind of positioning here, right? Like you still want to be getting the higher seed. You still want to there still is going to be a lot on the line, despite the fact that you might be both getting it.
Think about last year. Ryan Day and Ohio State lost to Michigan again, 2 years in a row. But I thought Ryan Day redeemed himself a lot by having a great offensive plan against that juggernaut of a Georgia defense.
Yeah.
I think we came away from the year saying, oh, yeah, Ryan Day is a pretty good coach. So I think the playoff, because it happens after the big game, is the last thing we remember. I don't remember killing Ryan Day in the offseason. I feel like everybody sort of took the pressure off of him. We'll see. This year, unfortunately, if he loses, he's probably out. So there's more pressure on him today, but I think that you're right. You do have a good point that Harbaugh can get back with the 12, but they're never going to have a team like this. They got Blake Corum. They're going to be able to run it down Ohio State's throat. That can't. Eventually, these guys have to go pro. I think there's a lot of pressure for Michigan to do it right now.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. So we will talk a lot about Ohio State, Michigan today. We want to hear from you. 855-212-4227. Pressure on Harbaugh. I say none. Built-in excuse. Dude's as powerful as ever, talking about Ted Lasso, giving these nonsense press conferences. At first, he wants to go into the courts on, and have his Judge Judy moment with the civics class and everything he learned in school where he gets to defend himself. And then the next moment, it's like, I'm just going to accept the suspension. Easier for me. Fire the linebackers, coach. Coach, you got a comment on that? No, I think the statement speaks for itself. You want to know what was in the statement? Absolutely nothing. We still don't know exactly why this guy was fired. We know maybe a Yahoo report that perhaps he was tampering with evidence. He's gone. Like, Harbaugh just continues to skate. And people think he's like doing all this with a wink and a nod. He's got Ric Flair at the facility.
I mean, the media is handing him a layup. They're treating the sign stealing scandal like it's Watergate combined with the JFK assassination. So they're treating it like they're making such a big deal out of it. Of course, Harbaugh, you're just feeding the Harbaugh machine. I say you're, not you necessarily, but generally, this stupid little scandal has been treated like it's just like Deflategate and Spygate. We blow those out of proportion. They just need a better nickname for this Connor Salians alone. Yeah. So Harbaugh,
Uncle
of course,
now?
Harbaugh is going to look good because he's playing himself against the media who thinks they get a lot of clicks by calling out Michigan. It's such a minor scandal. It's sign stealing, which they do all the time. Every team sign steals.
If it's so minor, why is Jim Harbaugh not on the sideline for this game?
Well, they cheated and they got caught. But what? But you know who else cheats? Everybody. It's college football. It's a whole sport based on a lie where they don't pay the players.
It's a weak argument.
Oh, come on. I think Harbaugh, the reason he's getting more power is because people eventually are going to say, wait, what was all that about?
He gets more power. Nothing materially changes for him. Like, they lose this game. Okay, it's a disappointment, but he's not getting fired.
Honestly, I do think, though, that he's going to look at his roster next year and say, if I don't get a transfer quarterback and McCarthy does go pro, then he might say, let's go to the NFL, because he's very opportunistic. The guy is about Jim Harbaugh. The other thing, too, is he probably would have gotten fired. He was tied to J.J. McCarthy. He might have gotten fired in the first place if he didn't have a good quarterback in the pipeline. Harbaugh, he's always wandering, so I don't even know what happens here. Do you think he stays?
I, from the beginning of the scandal, maintained that he was leaving, but I always thought he was leaving because he's been interviewing with NFL teams the last 2 years, which kind of feels like somebody who's looking to leave or looking to get more money. Yeah. And it's kind of naked and blatant and whatever, and that doesn't help you recruiting either, I would imagine.
But now,
you look like you have a foot out the door.
Now I do think, and listen, maybe I'm totally wrong, I think it does cool him off a little bit with the NFL. Do you think an NFL owner is going to be like, I'm really into Jim Harbaugh right now?
I don't know, because people seem to like the antics. People think to like seem to like when he stands up there and says silly things at his press conference. To me, the reason why he would get hired in the NFL is not because of anything that happened in Michigan. It'd be looking back at the 49ers situation, and he got them to a Super Bowl, and he did it with Colin Kaepernick and Frank Gore in a great run game. And now what do you have? Running quarterbacks, and it's like that's more of a thing now than it even was back then.
Feels like a long time ago, though. The Jim Harbaugh, that feels like a different era of NFL. It was 10 years ago now. That Super Bowl was 2012. I'm not so sure. I think if I'm an owner and it's between him and, say, a hot offensive coordinator, that the scandal might hurt a little bit. Because last year, if he didn't get a job last year, why wouldn't he have gotten a job last year with that same reasoning? So I think he's maybe cool. He's probably going to be at Michigan for life. Why does he need more money to? Explain to me, I'm sorry, side topic. Why do these college football coaches need more money? How can they ever spend, in a million years, Nick Saban's got to have $700 million in the bank. The guy's 72 years old. He lives in Alabama. How is he ever going to spend any of this money?
Listen, jet skis.
How many jet skis can you buy, Maggie?
A lot. I saw The Price is Right the other day for the first time in 20, maybe 10 years. Have you guys watched this show recently? Now we're on a super tangent.
No, I have not watched it.
It's the only place I see anyone buy a jet ski in real life, or not real life, TV. But it's the only time anyone talks about jet skis.
$3,674.
Exactly, and I bet $1. Can I just tangent for 1 second on The Price is Right? So I was watching the other day on the treadmill because now we're in this new schedule and TV habits are all different now and all that stuff. I maintain watching somebody win a car on that show is still the best moment we have on TV right now, non-sports edition. Besides maybe sports are I don't even think people care if you win an Oscar. I'm going to put that stuff to the side. Those are the live TV things that we still have in this world. I think the dopamine hit of watching someone freak out over losing a car is the best thing we have on TV. I can't even think of a second.
Wow. So to me, and maybe I'm biased because I watch the show weekly now. To me, the end of a season of The Bachelor or The Bachelorette, when the person you rooted for wins, quote
Carlos
unquote.
just got up and he's walking
and
out.
You see
He's
the
outta here.
proposal. I mean, when Dotton won the Bachelorette season, I mean, I jumped off my couch. I was yelling things I probably shouldn't have been saying at the time because of how happy I was for this young man.
EJ believes in love.
I do.
Wow.
I do. I'm a sucker for love.
You're a bachelorette person. We're still all learning about each other.
I think it's a matter of timing, too. Bachelor's on a night. I haven't seen Price is Right since I called in sick in 7th grade.
I'm telling you.
Why? What is...
Dude.
That's you're homesick and you're watching The Price is Right. Who watches The Price is Right?
Someone on a treadmill at 11 a.m. because that's my life now. But I think that watch somebody win a car. Guys, it's unreal. You'll get goosebumps still. It's not, listen, it's the best thing that can happen on television. I can't find a second one. Maybe The Bachelor. I'm not really into that.
I feel like I've learned too much about people getting gifts and the tax
You got to pay the taxes.
And
Put
all
that
that
out of your
other
mind.
stuff.
That's like watching college football. Don't remember these guys aren't getting paid. I mean, they are now. You can't remember the dirty underbelly. Just from a pure entertainment standpoint, there's nothing better. I challenge everyone. Find me a better TV moment than someone winning a car on Price is Right. Pure joy, elation, emotion, you cannot do it. 855-212-4CBS. Maybe the close second, and it's not on TV, is when Oprah used to give stuff away. You get a car, and people's heads would explode. But honestly, she's ripping off The Price is Right because they've been doing that forever.
That is true. Yeah.
Her producers realized this is the best moment on television, so we're just going to multiply it by a studio full of people.
I do think if I had to do a second one, though, it's not something I watch a lot, but the Extreme Home Makeover, and this is something also with taxes and stuff like that, too, but when that person walks into that house, usually it's someone that's been down their luck, has had issues, and you see the raw emotion of them
having a house
celebrating this house. I mean, very much a tearjerker.
Yeah.
They have to pay taxes on that?
I think it's similar to the car, where not taxes, but I think upkeep of the house. There's a lot of issues with any of these shows where they're giving you something for free. There's mad issues coming out of it.
Nothing is
nothing in this.
Yeah, it's like when you win the lottery, your life is over. Basically, you're going to end up in a in an alley in about 3 years.
Yeah.
There's like stories you wind up brokered in where you were before you played the lottery.
I
So
know.
all these shows have horror stories. Like, I love the Pimp My Ride stories of like people would get these tricked out cars, and then like the cars didn't work that great, or they just got people just ripped the rims out and the hubcaps and the TVs out because like you're driving like a car that should be on Fast and Furious. You're driving it down a suburban road. Like, somebody's gonna be like, oh, what's that?
The fish in the trunk are dead.
That was a great show,
They
though.
took out the PlayStation 2. All that stuff happened. So like there are those stories too. So
I'm surprised. I'm actually surprised that Exhibit did not get another hosting job. Like, he should have been in hosting Celebrity Jeopardy. He was just as good as any of those other people.
I mean, how
hosting
many
the
things
show.
were left for him to pimp? Like you
Pimp
can't-
my Jeopardy.
You can't get any higher than Pimp My Ride. It's like, what are
Pimp
you
my
gonna do?
Daily Double.
Pimp your stroller. Like, there's not much for him to do.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. In the chat, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio, twitch.tv/CBS Sports Radio, where Pine Needle says to turn in your man card, EJ, because you like The Bachelor. And Carlos is agreeing with Pine Needle.
Yes, sir.
855-212-4227. How much pressure on Jim Harbaugh in this rivalry game? And find me a better TV moment than someone winning a car on Price is Right. Can't do it. Maggie and Perloff on this Thanksgiving Eve. Don't move. We're back in a minute.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Oh, boy.
Now we've done it.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. Carlos is on the board today. That means there's a music theme. Carlos, what do we got on tap today?
90s R&B. Sometimes you just want to feel good. It's
Oh,
a Feel Good Wednesday.
I thought this was going to be love songs because we found out that EJ likes The Bachelor.
Wait,
You know
by
what?
the way,
That's exactly what I meant.
I was like, oh, now we're doing love songs.
I
today.
don't like The Bachelor. I love The Bachelor. I don't know what you guys are talking about. You know I have a lifelong Bachelor. There's so many. Why do you think they put all the NFL people on The Bachelor? Because every guy kind of likes The Bachelor secretly.
Then why do they go up head to head against Monday Night Football?
I don't know. I didn't
But they
actually.
kind of stopped that, I think.
Did
Yeah,
they?
they
Now they're
kind
on
of slow
Tuesdays,
down in the
yeah.
fall and then they pick it up. Their replacement. Anyway,
I got
Bachelor's
kicked off
cool.
a Bachelor text thread.
I'll watch the
Why?
one where.
Too many snarky comments about the show. They really liked the show, and I kept making fun of the show, and then all of a sudden I was out.
The best one's when they go to the beach and they all get so hammered every day in a row for
Bachelor
4
in-
months.
Bachelor in Paradise
Yeah.
is the GOAT.
Yeah,
Like,
so-
I love Bachelor, Bachelorette, but the Bachelor in Paradise, it's like Bachelor, but if it's the All-Star game.
Yeah. It's like
yeah, it's drunker, it's nakeder.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is there home field advantage at the end?
people on TV developing chronic alcoholism is more entertaining than you might think. Maggie's saying the most exhilarating moment on TV is when someone gets a car and The Price is Right.
Yep.
So, and for all you young people out there who have unplugged your cable, Price is Right is a show that's
It's
on.
a game show.
It's a game show.
Young people know it more than anyone else.
I was like, what's cable?
Yeah, I don't think,
true.
but I don't think they have access to it. Isn't it on like CBS? Anyway, Price is Right, which is pretty exhilarating. EJ's going with The Bachelor. I'm going to go old school. Most exhilarating moment on TV is football. Hello.
I said non-sports.
Oh, okay.
Non-sports. Of
Non-sports.
course, sports is going to be number one because it's a last reality show left.
Did you guys see the rating on my Eagles Chiefs game? By the way,
I did.
biggest Monday Night Football game in history.
Yeah, there was nothing else on.
Yeah, that's probably true because The Bachelor wasn't on.
There you go.
All right.
And slice into the demographic.
I am still mad about the call on Fletcher Cox hitting Patrick Mahomes and getting a penalty. So if there's anyone who wants to call in about bad officiating, that's always good.
Well, okay. Jeff in Minnesota happens to be on the horn. Good morning, Jeff. How are you?
Hey, Maggie, and I want to wish you all a happy Thanksgiving.
Same to you, Jeff. How's it going?
Good, good. But I'm a little upset from Sunday night's game out in Denver against the Minnesota Vikings with the officials.
Still upset. It's Wednesday. Haven't gotten over it.
I know. I got a thing about these officials. I wish they would get on all the same page, in quotation marks, because there was an official right behind there when Johnson came in and hit Dobbs, and it's clearly he lowered his helmet.
Yeah,
and hit him
Kareem
in the
Jackson.
chin.
Yep.
Yeah. My question, and then I'll let you professionals discuss it, is where do they get some of these officials? What crackerjack box do some of these officials come out of?
It's ref school.
Thank you.
Yes, Jeff, thank you so much. Ref school. No, it's, people who work their way up. That's the officials. But there have been, and Aaron Rodgers actually talks about this quite a bit on McAfee and did it yesterday again, which is a lot of the best NFL officials have retired recently. And you can tell because they're all on TV now getting paid gobs of money with the Gene Sterators and the...
Really? I feel those guys get every single call wrong on TV.
No,
though.
I think they might be getting it right, and the guys on the field are getting it wrong. Like, at least there's a little back in my day, the refs were better, and some of the best guys now are on TV.
Well, I disagree with that because I think the game has gotten so much more complicated, and they have to tell in real time, is this going to be a roughing? Roughing's very hard to judge. I will give you that. So how we see it in slow-mo, and we can't even tell if it was a roughing. So how is the guy who was right, the Kareem Jackson hit, how do you really see that in real time? I think you have to see it in slow-mo. Maybe college has it a little better with going to the booth for targeting.
Yeah.
I don't know how you're supposed to do it because if you're going to try to protect these players, you're putting yourself in a bad spot.
The other part, too, with Dobbs specifically is he was a runner at that point. And I think even though you're a quarterback, you're acting as a running back in that moment. So maybe things are a little different. But, I mean, guys get sneezed on and you get 15 yards for roughing the passer. So it does feel very unevenly applied.
Well, I will tell you, Kareem Jackson, and I noticed this, I think he cost me a bet in week 1. He is completely reckless.
Sure.
I understand. And he has no idea what time of game he's doing this. He's cost that team so many times.
And he's suspended now.
So I think the history reminds me of when James Harrison was at his peak and just putting guys out of business. History does matter, in my opinion. So I think the 4-game suspension made so much sense to me. I understand missing it in real time too. How do these officials do this job? We can't even tell on replay, Maggie, what's actually happening. And they're supposed to do it at 100 miles an hour?
But haven't you noticed, I don't recognize a lot of these guys anymore.
Well,
some of them you still do, but there was whoever was reffing the Bills-Jets game the other day, I had never seen that person before in my life.
I don't know.
Some of them I still know.
Yeah.
Like Ed Hockley's son. Guys like that.
They are. I think another trend too is they're all kind of ripped these days.
Well,
what happened?
That's been Ed Hockley.
Yeah, what happened to the chubby ref?
You still get him in college.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
okay, I'll watch that this weekend.
Waddling out to the 50-yard line. Now but see, I like that. I like guys out of central casting. I don't like when people go against type.
It's like, in the NBA where we see a bunch of Kevin Durant types, or in the NFL, you see pattern out of the Patrick Mahomes. Now the refs are all patterned out of the Ed Hockley.
Yeah, right.
He's the blueprint now.
It's the copycat league, EJ. Rod is in Alabama, has a thought on best TV moment. I think it's when someone wins a car on The Price is Right. Rod, what do you have?
On the Wheel of Fortune, they've been doing it for decades when they win the big prize at the end, either the car or the $75,000, or on rare occasions they can actually win $1 million, and that's a pretty big moment there.
Rod, it's a great call because it still feels rare. You only have 10 seconds to try to solve that final puzzle. It doesn't happen a lot, and you do know if you've been watching Price is Right enough, someone's probably going to win a car every show, maybe around the 27-minute mark or whatever.
Yeah.
You're right, Rod. And you don't know what the prize is until they reveal it, which is cool.
That's right. The Harbaugh thing, as I understand, he's not going to be able to coach them this weekend. Is that correct?
Not in the venue. So he cannot be at the big house. Now, he could probably be at the facility, his office, I'm assuming, but he cannot be in the building.
Okay, so I'm not sure that there's really a huge pressure on him to win because
he's not there.
A, he's not there, and B, he could still make the playoffs.
Oh, that's interesting. Rod, thank you very much. I thought no pressure because he's not there. So if, Sharon Moore has a big 4th down decision to make or something, then, and it swings the game, Harbaugh's not going to get blamed for that. Could Michigan still get in with a loss?
No.
Yeah, I don't know either. Although at this time last year, I didn't think Ohio State would have gotten in with a loss, and things did break right for them.
It's a weird year. There's so many teams alive, way too many teams alive right now. So Michigan who's their out-of-conference win? They schedule the lightest schedule.
Really, Texas has better claim to it.
Oh, yeah.
Alabama is going to have – Alabama might be a 2-loss team, though, if they lose to Georgia.
You're assuming Georgia, Alabama winner is in. Michigan, Ohio State winner is in. That's 2 right there. So that leaves 2 spots for the loser. It's going to be really hard. But you have Texas, you have Oregon, you have Washington, you have
Florida
Louisville
State.
Will be back in if they'll have 1 loss because they'll have to beat Florida State.
I know, but did you see in the latest rankings last night, Mizzou is over Louisville, and Mizzou has 2 losses, and Louisville has 1.
I know. But Louisville gets a signature win if they beat Florida State.
But it's with a backup quarterback now.
We'll see. Yeah, I think it's going to be hard for that loser. Possible, everyone seems to, by the way, when you look at the Final Four, everyone's just assuming when they do the scenarios that Alabama's beating Georgia.
Well, that's the more fun scenario for chaos.
When you do a scenario, you're like, oh, Alabama's beating Georgia. This is Georgia, and they're 3-point favorites. And how are they only 3-point favorites? Are we underrating Georgia? I do love these scenarios, but it dawned on me, Maggie, we're going to have total chaos this weekend.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Let's check in with some headlines. Pete McCarthy's our guy. Happy Thanksgiving, Pete.
Happy Thanksgiving. I'm sponsored by Progressive Insurance today. Progressive Insurance for motorcycles, boats, and RVs for protection on the road and on the water. See how much you could save at 1-800-PROGRESSIVE and Progressive.com. Chaos this weekend. How about chaos last night in the NBA in-season tournament? Yeah, they're all trying to hype this thing. Players, coaches, including Pacers head coach Rick Carlisle.
Essentially is a playoff environment. We had a lot of games this year that have been like playoffs. We've had 3 or 4 at home that have had that feel. All the games in Philly both games in Philly had the feel. Tonight certainly had it. I mean, Atlanta's playing for a lot too. I mean, Atlanta, if they had won tonight, they're right in the thick of it.
Yeah, it felt like a playoff game. The Pacers, the Hawks last night, a playoff game with a final score of Pacers 157, Hawks 152. What playoff basketball is that?
Did you know it was the biggest total for an NBA game since 1995 coming into that game? That is insane. So everyone knew it was going to blow up, but that was even better than expected.
I would have thought the biggest total would have been like 1975, not 1995. But are these coaches and stuff like getting paid by the advertisement? Like, does the league float them, $20 every time they pump up this in-season tournament?
I feel like it's a loser's stance to say this is a big deal because Rick Carlisle saying that means I don't think I have any chance in the real playoffs, so I'm going to go for this. Is it a second place prize?
Well, I mean, they give up on average 150 points a game. I mean, the Pacers are always in these high-scoring games.
Right, but all this talk about nobody outside of the NBA is talking about the in-season tournament at all, in my opinion, and they're trying to play it up. It feels like blatant marketing. I don't want to be marketed to, Maggie.
Yeah, I get it. What else you got, Pete?
Well, LeBron will market it to you, too.
I know.
Obviously, we in the tournament, so, it's always great to be able to be victorious and, have another way to have another home game. So that was great. We were able to take care of business that way.
He's riveted, right? I mean, how much do you think it matters for LeBron James with the Lakers doing the in-season tournament as they move on to the quarterfinals? This is part of his legacy.
I know, Pete. Somehow people will use that against LeBron in a LeBron-Jordan argument in 10 years. It's like, and LeBron cared about the in-season tournament.
Jordan never lost the in-season
tournament. Yeah, Jordan never lost the in-season tournament.
There it is.
Nice.
No, nobody.
Absolutely.
Oh, stop. You're going to you'll probably use it for, look, LeBron won that thing.
And LeBron won an in-season.
Oh, my God.
LeBron can't lose the finals of the in-season tournament. Let's be straight up there. That can't happen.
Yeah.
LeBron, by the way, he did score his 39,000th point last night as he continues to hit all these numbers. He got some respect from teammate Christian Wood.
He should be in the MVP race because he's 38 years old. What person do you know at 38 has been doing what he does? And, today, 39,000 points it's incredible.
That's fine. It's kind of what we hear all season from players and broadcasters about LeBron James, what he's doing. But then LeBron kind of caught a right hook from a reporter.
Is it weird being older than the head coach?
I'm older than who?
The Utah head coach.
I'm older than the head coach? Oh, wow.
I just had to.
My goodness. No, my goodness. They don't even matter. That's a good one, right? That's a good one. Yeah, you got me on.
Just thought I'd drop that in there.
No.
Old guy stuff. Yeah, Will Hardy is the Jazz head coach, 35 years old. LeBron is 38. Joe Mazzulla of the Celtics is also younger.
Is that a bigger flex for LeBron or for Hardy?
This is how you can tell EJ's still a young person.
Yeah.
It's never cool when someone is pointing out how much younger somebody else is. It always stings. It's a bigger flex for the coach.
I actually accidentally watched that game last night because they were on after the Sixers Cavs. Will Hardy looks like he should be an assistant. He looks like a 12-year-old who's 30, 35. I can understand why people went there. Yeah, Maggie's totally right. You don't want to be you want to be younger than every coach in the NBA. Also, but Will Hardy does not belong on the sideline. He looks like a baby.
Listen, LeBron's now got the gut punch of guys telling him, you played against my dad. I mean, that
was rough.
That one hurts,
too. That was Jabari Smith.
But he does.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, LeBron has Christian Wood on his side, apparently, because I was wondering who Christian Wood thought the MVP should be.
Well, that was a big reveal. It was a big shocker that he would say LeBron. Oh, man, Pete, what else?
Yeah, and part of the conversation, right? Like LeBron's going to play with his son soon, perhaps, and his son able to take warm-ups a couple days ago, which was good to see. Shaquille Leonard, this is kind of a stunner yesterday, waived by the Colts, and even Leonard was surprised.
It was the biggest surprise ever, but I don't make those decisions. It was shocking. I asked for a November meeting. I guess I got a November meeting, so I guess you got to be careful what you ask for.
Yeah, Leonard had complained a bit about his playing time as it was dropping, but it's pretty unbelievable fall from grace. 3-time first-team All-Pro, back injury last year, played in only 3 games, and then this year steadily lost playing time. Now he's gone. I mean, what a strange year for the Colts from top to bottom, right? Jonathan Taylor stuff, and now Shaq Leonard, a franchise stalwart on defense, gone.
Important one for Maggie and Perloff show because the teams being linked to him are the Eagles and the Bills. So,
I will fight you to the death for Shaq Leonard.
Fight Shaq Leonard. But then I was all into Shaq Leonard. Then I read the reason they cut him. He is the lowest pro football focus grade for any inside linebacker in the league. So apparently he's really slow now.
Well, he's had 2 back surgeries. Yeah. Maybe we can forgive him for that. But if he makes 1 play in the playoffs, it's worth it.
I got to be honest. I'm going to give him to your Bills. I feel like you need him more for the Milano injury.
Well, here's the other thing, though, about the Colts is you're in it. Surprisingly, it feels like the Colts haven't played a game in a month and a half, but they're 5-5.
Right, but
with a backup quarterback.
This was not a giving up on the season. I guess he's just not any good anymore.
I know, but it's like he wants more playing time. I don't know. I was just surprised that you'd be getting rid of anybody when you're technically you're still in a playoff race.
Yeah, maybe he was a locker room guy. Maybe he was saying you got to play me, and the coach doesn't want any more of that. Yeah, it's wild. I will take him too. I love that player. Remember him a few years ago? Could he be that bad that quickly?
Well, according to Pro Football Focus, yes.
According to back surgeons,
and the
also,
Colts
yes.
too. And they told him they're going to make him inactive for the rest of the year before they released him a day later.
Wow. I mean, listen, maybe it's just over. Like life comes at you fast, especially with these kinds of injuries.
Yeah,
back injuries, like. You're playing this collision sport at that kind of brutal position, and maybe it's just not. Maybe it's shocking to him. But what's that?
He'll be a Cowboy by Friday.
Maybe.
Shout out to him though for still delivering those turkeys, despite losing his job. Like that was admirable. He could have had probably handlers do that and just said, "Oh, this Shaq Leonard, turkey drive." He went out there and did it himself.
I didn't like that at all.
What?
Because I felt so guilty about my extra turkey sitting in the freezer. If you listen to yesterday's show, Maggie and I have rogue turkeys in our refrigerator. And Shaq Leonard's out there getting cut and giving out turkeys, and I can't find anyone to take this turkey off my hands.
Sorry, Pete. We talked about this yesterday. We'll just get you up to speed. Perloff and I were gifted these massive frozen turkeys by a friend, which was really nice gesture, but we're both not hosting Thanksgiving. So now you just got a big turkey in the freezer. I tried to look around yesterday for donations. They were all last week. All the turkey drives were leading up to. So
also, you had a good point on yesterday's show. Would you trust a random person who walked in with this gigantic turkey out of nowhere?
And a big smile on their face? Here you go.
Yeah, the weird fentanyl turkey is what we call it. Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
We just don't trust each other in society anymore.
I don't think anyone's...
do the big turkey thing Thursday, and then you guys cook it up Saturday and have some more.
That's what I said.
Well, that's what I talked to my mom about that last night. I said, well, let's cook it on Saturday. And we were just thinking, all right, the last thing we're going to want to do is cook a turkey on Saturday.
Cook anything. That's why, doesn't everyone else get pizza on Saturday after Thanksgiving? Pete, we good? We'll talk to you next hour.
Sounds good.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Pete McCarthy is with us all morning long. He's awesome. It's great to hear from him. 855-212-4CBS. A lot more to do, including the NFL team making a major change yesterday. What's the impact? We're going to get to it next. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
We could have gone with like a food theme today. But instead, we're going with a love theme with our songs because we found out that EJ likes The Bachelor and The Bachelorette, and Perloff is a longtime stan for The Bachelor.
Is this the Patrick Swayze ceramic scene song? Yeah,
totally.
This is.
Ghost.
Oh, man.
That movie is so weird. Have you watched it in 10 years?
No.
20?
I remember really liking it. Whoopi Goldberg is
She's
the
a medium. Yeah.
And I also remember the Leslie Nielsen version in one of the Naked Guns where they're playing off the ceramic scene. And anyway, it gets wild. Yeah, I like this love theme. Maggie, you've never been into The Bachelor? Never once? You've been curious?
I did. I watched like one season. It just didn't do it for me.
Yeah, because you don't believe in love. You don't believe in Taylor
Also,
Swift and Travis
who was
Kelce.
the lead, though?
It was
'Cause the lead matters.
It was Aaron Rodgers' brother.
Oh, that season was
Well, it was the
he
girl.
was in it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that season was. The lead makes the show. If you have a bad lead, it kind of is rough.
Do you have any issue with Chris Harrison not being there? I'm curious how the show is.
Oh, I don't care about him.
Yeah.
Oh, is it Jordan Palmer now?
Yeah. It's
No, Jesse
Jesse Palmer.
Yeah, Jesse does a great job. Yeah, we kind of realized how much Chris was like not that much of a factor once he was gone. I think there was more when he first left. Like, oh, how's this gonna work? But then, Tasia and Caitlin were great, and now Jesse Palmer's great.
Yeah.
Like, it's
Oh my God, shocker. Turns out anyone can do that job. That's amazing.
They did one.
I used to say this about Chris Harrison. Like, this dude is stealing
He-
money.
No.
And
Chris-
that, I think, got me kicked off the Bachelorette thread, too. My text thread that I got the hook from because I used to constantly complain about how as a professional broadcaster, how easy it would be to do Chris Harrison's job.
Well, I don't think anyone thought he was Walter Cronkite, but
he did.
You just said Jordan Palmer is doing it. I mean, Jordan Palmer is coaching the top draft prospects. He's Carson
sorry.
Palmer's brother.
I meant
he doesn't have time to host The Bachelor.
That's my bad. I would not make that mistake if I was the host. ABC. Dennis is in Pennsylvania. He's asking, find me a better TV moment than when someone wins a car on The Price is Right. It's undefeated, the dopamine hit. That's when EJ said the final episode of The Bachelor when they pick the winner. Dennis, what do you have, sir?
All right, Maggie. I was watching The Price is Right one day, and there was a platoon of U.S. Marines on there. And one of the Marines won the showcase and naturally was happy, but instead of running up and jumping, he picked up the hot blonde in his arms, and I think that made his day.
Oh, he picked up one of the models?
Yes, right up. Scooped her right up. It was great.
Dennis, thank you. And that was your personally favorite moment. I mean, that's a fun one.
It's kind of like the Ian Johnson.
Proposing?
Yeah, kind of proposing, but like maybe in a more creepy way, I guess.
I was going to say, what year did he scoop her up?
Right. Yeah.
I don't know if you can do that anymore.
Hopefully there was like maybe they had a conversation before the
to
reveal.
get consent.
Yeah.
I'm going to need you to sign these 3 documents here and also an NDA. Just that you are okay with this. Telling you, the Showcase Showdown is also fun, but it's the winning of the car. That's the thing.
The excitement is there. I get the excitement.
Because also it's like a car or like a vacuum cleaner. You know, like
and
that's the
they
other
try to
thing.
swerve you with it too, because they'll show you the vacuum cleaner, like, oh, look at this gorgeous vacuum cleaner, and a person's like, oh, all right, and a new car,
Yeah, it's like-
and like everything just wows out.
What idiot in the right mind is getting excited over a dining room set when you can have a new Honda CRV?
I do need a new dining room set though, so if like Price Right, if you're listening,
Carlos, we got to get you on that show. Okay, lots more to do. It is Great Debate Day. It's Wednesday, and around here we do the Great Debate Series. We have to hold off on the Steelers stuff for just a moment. So Great Debate Series this week. We're going to get it going top of this hour. This one, again, we loosely base it on the news. And this one is every single person on this show is staunchly in their corner and cannot be moved off their spot.
Yeah, I don't think this is a great debate because I think there's only one answer here. So how can there be a great debate?
This is what I'm saying. Perloff is an immovable object on this one. Same with me.
It's the obvious debate stories in my mind. Yeah, it's amazing. And you guys are all just as sold as I am. It's bizarre.
I know. So we're going to get into that. What is the great debate topic for today? We're going to bring that to you in just a moment. If you want to watch the show, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio, twitch.tv/CBS Sports Radio. Of course, you can always download the Maggie and Perloff podcast. Thank you to everyone who's been downloading and giving us that 5-star review. It is so important. So thank you. Thank you. Also, you can download the free Odyssey app where you can get the show crystal clear. We're on Sirius XM channel 158. We're everywhere you are. Coming up, the Great Debate Series topic for today. Also, the latest from the Steelers, Mike Tomlin, what he had to say about firing his offensive coordinator. He spoke to the media yesterday. We get that to you next. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
He's been on the TB12 method since he was 6. She's on her 3rd scotch. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Welcome to the show, Thanksgiving Eve. This is a day you got to keep it light. You know, a salad today. Yogurt, granola. Sneaky bad for you. But, you know, this is not the day to go double bacon cheeseburger, Perloff. Today you got to just really understand what tomorrow is going to bring, because it starts early for most Americans and it doesn't end until late, and it's eating all day.
I find myself fantasizing about eating food and sitting on the couch and watching football. I'm so excited for the next 5 days. I want to put on 10 pounds this week. And it's hard for me to put on weight, but I think I'm going to do it.
Lucky you. It's hard for you to put on weight. That is not something we have in common. But this is the day. Sort of take it easy. I know it's a big going out night, but food-wise, this is the time to take it easy. Meanwhile, it is Wednesday, which means no whether it's a holiday or not, we do the Great Debate Series. Let's hit it.
The Great Debate Series.
Well, what else would we do this week, Perloff? Rivalry week in college football. Yeah. Greatest college football rivalries of all time. We all have a different one. And, of course, we're going to want to hear yours. You get to start us off.
Okay. Not only is it the greatest rivalry in college football, it's the greatest rivalry in sports right now, and it's the only rivalry in sports right now, because rivalries do not exist. Free agency killed it in the NFL and the NBA and NHL and baseball. Now the transfer portal's killing it in college football. The Final 12 is going to absolutely kill it because the rivalry games don't even mean anything. There's really only one rivalry that exists, and that is Ohio State-Michigan. Nobody's doing commercials about any other thing nationally. Ohio State-Michigan, everyone knows how much these two states hate each other. They're right next to each other. They have all these, little traditions that go with it. Bo Schembechler, Woody Hayes. It goes way back. They're elite teams. I don't even think there's a second rivalry to even talk about. This is the only one in my mind in really all of sports right now. I can't think of any two teams that hate each other more and have done it more consistently, and that hate spills over nationally. Locally, yeah, there's a lot of hate, but Ohio State, Michigan, you meet someone from Ohio, what's the first thing you say to them? Oh, how bad are those Wolverines? You meet someone from Michigan, you know they hate the Buckeyes. There's no other state like that.
All right. I think you're getting a little bit of a bump right now because the scandal and the last couple of years where both these teams have been title contenders, and I think that you're getting a nice bump. It's a great rivalry. I'm not going to denigrate it, but it's not the best rivalry in college football. The best rivalry in college football is the Iron Bowl. You're talking about, Perloff, teams that in states that are close to each other. I got in-state rival. I got people who love Auburn and people who love Alabama working together, living together. For Ohio State and Michigan, you can go to your job. You might not encounter a Michigan person or Ohio State person all season long. You can remove yourself if you want to. You are in out the state of Alabama. You have to pick a side and you have to live it 365 days a year. I love the fact that oftentimes these two teams are nationally ranked when they meet, but even if Auburn happens to have a down year, then they are playing spoiler to Alabama.
Okay.
And it's always there. They also compete in the premier conference for college football in this country. No disrespect to the Big Ten, but the SEC is still the top dog. And this is it. To me, this is number one. EJ, go ahead.
We think about college football. We think about football, family, food, very similar to Thanksgiving, quite frankly, which is why they go so synonymous together. What college football rivalry combines all those things?
Wait, what are you're missing?
Football,
faith,
food, and
yeah, that's what
well, I'm sure the people
Dabo
in this neck
that.
of the woods, they also are very big into their faith, which
Live, laugh,
I'll take that as well. What rivalry combines all of those things?
All of them?
No, not like this one. Texas, OU, Red River rivalry.
Oh, wow.
You got State Fair happening outside where you can get all the fried food you want. You got an iconic venue, the Cotton Bowl. You have the split stadium, burnt orange on one side, Crimson on the other side. And then, unlike these other rivalries, you actually have amazing football games. Ohio State, Michigan is always a snooze fest. They're playing old man football. Yeah. It's 3 yards in a cloud of dust. Texas, you're talking about 48-44, 40-37, late touchdowns, explosive plays, stars on both sides, 2 big programs. OU, Texas, Red River rivalry, easily the best rivalry in college football.
Maggie, what do you think of EJ's delivery on saying the rivalry?
Well, I can't believe fried butter is going to be the difference in this debate.
Oh, yeah.
Deep fried Oreo is what puts them over the top.
Saying Red River rivalry, I think that's too dangerous. I think that is going to be the problem with this.
Because it's OU, Texas.
Yeah. It's just too hard to not trip up on that.
I just want to say, I know that rivalry has a lot of great games, Oklahoma, Texas. May I just present, 4 overtimes, Alabama and Auburn, that just happened, the Bryce Young Heisman here.
That does
even in series and seasons rather, where Alabama might be a double-digit favorite, these are usually scare the daylights out of them kind of games.
That is true, but I don't like the little brother, big brother rivalry being a rivalry and at this level. I want 2 teams that are even, which is why I understand the Michigan-Ohio State stuff. As much as War Eagle, shout out to Auburn. I know they're big Auburn fans and they're a great fan base. I hope that tree's okay, by the way. The guy tried to kill that tree.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even mention Harvey Updike. He actually passed away not that long ago. But poisoned the trees at Tuber's Corner, then calls into Feinbaum's show under a fake name. It's
crazy.
Ludicrous.
It's crazy, but it's still big brother, little brother. I want the 2 clash as Titans. And
Also,
the only one that matches that is Michigan, Ohio State.
Auburn has proven that they can take the greatest quarterbacks in the world and turn them into total trash. I mean, the fact that Bo Nix left Auburn and became a Heisman Trophy winner, and the fact that Jarrett Stidham is a pretty good pro player and couldn't do anything at Auburn. Auburn's offense since Cam Newton has just been a death knell.
How about Cam Newton comes back from a 20-plus point deficit in the Iron Bowl? That's a great...
Yeah, you had Cam Newton. Then what has Auburn done since?
Wait, can I also get my highlight here? I forgot, before we get to Carlos, can I get my Iron Bowl highlight, kick 6, 2013? Let's hear it.
56-yarder. Does not have the leg. And Chris Davis takes it in the back of the end zone. He'll run it out to the 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 45. There goes Davis. Oh, my God. Davis is going to run it all the way back. Auburn's going to win the football game. Auburn's going to win the football game. He ran the missed field goal back. He ran it back 109 yards. They're not going to keep him off the field tonight. Holy cow. Oh, my God. Auburn wins.
In my mind, the play-by-play and the color analysts are doing this while they're hugging and simultaneously jumping up and down like they're in each other's arms. In my mind, that's how it went. Okay, Carlos, what do you have? Greatest college football rivalry, go.
I'll give you a rivalry where at the end of the day, when the clock hits 000, everybody's back on the same team. We're a national show. I don't want to alienate any fan bases here. I got enough people coming at me at home. So I'm going to give you Army and Navy as the best college rivalry in football, simply because tradition, football, America, Jets screaming over the stadium. I mean, what can go wrong there? Nothing. The Army-Navy game this year has a lot on the line because the Army Black Knights can win the Commander's Trophy straight outright because Air Force, you was undefeated, but you couldn't take care of business. So the best that Navy can do is get a share of it if they win this game. So I'm all in on this one. It's going to be at Gillette Stadium, but you give me Army. The only problem with this rivalry is that, number one, that Navy leads it, but also they got the longest streak. Navy won 14 straight games before Army took care of business in 2016.
Second down and 8, trailing by 3. Bradshaw! Touchdown, Army!
Well, finally, a sigh of relief. I have friends in all branches of the military, especially the Navy, and I could not live it down for years. So finally, get the dust off the shoulders. Last year we won. Get on a 2-game win streak. Bring the trophy home, boys. Bring it home.
And, of course, Carlos, you're still active duty as a reserve?
Contract up until July.
There you go. So, of course, that one close, near, dear to your heart. So, greatest college football rivalry. Perloff going with a
little thing called Ohio State, Michigan. Ever heard of it?
I'll take the Iron Bowl, EJ.
Red River rivalry.
And Carlos.
Army-Navy.
What do you say? 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. So that is the great debate for this week. A little pre-Thanksgiving, yes?
I'll tell you one thing that I think gives Ohio State, Michigan a huge edge over you guys, because I put up a poll at Andrew Perloff. I'm not trusting the show poll.
Right.
Yes. The fact that Texas and Oklahoma have other rivals, the fact that Alabama and Auburn have other rivals, Army-Navy it doesn't. But, I mean, could you argue that there's a lot, like, I know that they don't play all the time, but there's Oklahoma and Oklahoma State is Bedlam, and Texas and whatever has a long history with Texas A&M that they don't have anymore. But I feel like, and Alabama has Georgia and Auburn, like there's a lot going on. Ohio State and Michigan, that's all they have. That's a two-man dance. They don't have any other real significant rivals. Michigan State, Michigan is nothing now.
What? Michigan State is a huge deal.
No, Michigan
that's
State
a little
stinks.
brother, big brother.
Yeah,
That's a little brother, big brother.
Right, but in state, that's a huge deal. Michigan State.
Yeah, but Mike Gundy was going insane about Oklahoma State. I just feel like Michigan and Ohio State really have each other. And these other schools, Alabama has a little Georgia problem right now.
Well, they do, but that's also adds to it is that like basically Saban's coaching tree is kind of like all over the SEC.
True.
And I think for Alabama, like the LSU rivalry, which I know
crazy
is big. To me, it's like a little bit more of a recruiting rivalry, maybe than it is like even on the field rivalry.
But you had that game of the century stuff that was happening earlier. It's just every SEC game is intense. In the Big Ten, does anyone really care about anything except Ohio State, Michigan right now?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think that you're benefiting from a little recency bias here, and especially this year because this has been one of the biggest sports stories, not just college football, but in sports, has been the sign stealing scandal.
I think the history
and it may have been like, it may have been not funded, possibly, or may have been, possibly funded the investigation, the private investigator, maybe by Ohio State.
But the
that
thing
hasn't
is,
been confirmed.
If you say, okay, say the second school, I say Ohio State, name another school, everyone says Michigan. I say North Carolina, everyone says Duke. I say Texas, not everyone says Oklahoma. I say Alabama, not everyone says Auburn.
I think they do. I definitely think they do.
I think they might say Georgia right now. I say, who's Alabama? I understand the rivalry. I understand the history. But just there's a lot going on with
They're
these
just
programs.
not guaranteed to play each other every year. You have to play each other every year for this to be the big rivalry.
I'm gonna stand 10 toes down on the Michigan State thing. I mean, those guys had a brawl last year, right? Didn't Jim Harbaugh was saying one of his players got jumped, which is terrible, by the way. That should never happen. But like they had a brawl in the big house in the tunnel. There was Devin Bush years ago kicking his feet on the Michigan State logo at the beginning of the game. I mean, I know nationally we all care about Ohio State and Michigan.
Yeah.
But I think that all these teams have in-state rivals that also are big deals. Well, I don't think that Michigan escapes that. Ohio State does because they don't have another Ohio school in the Big Ten. But I don't agree with that with Michigan.
I don't know. I'm not sure Wolverine fans are obsessed with Michigan State like they are Ohio State.
I think I agree with that, but I think that the bragging rights, like Maggie mentioning, you don't have to deal with the Ohio State people until there's 1 week. At least you do have another week in the season where you are split. Like, half people don't like the Michigan governor for a lot of reasons, but a lot of it is just because she's a Michigan State grad and she go green. Like, even that's a big deal.
Politicians trying to figure out sports is ridiculous.
Just don't do it.
Yeah, no, I don't want to get into the
City mayor
politics
was-
of what's going on with the Iron Bowl either, with one of the legendary coaches who participated in that rivalry. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Okay, listen, we realize what we did here a little bit. Now, Army-Navy is sort of across the country. Texas, Oklahoma, at least that's, west of the Mississippi. We have some West Coast rivalries that were clearly left out here. So if you are a big Oregon State, the Civil War, the Apple Cup, Washington State. USC has a couple different rivalries. They play you at UCLA. They'll play Stanford this weekend. They have UCLA. They've got Notre Dame.
Oregon State is kind of hot right now because that's a big game.
Massive game.
I even think I know maybe big football fans don't care, but BYU Utah is also serious. I mean, call it the Holy War.
Yep. People who live in Arizona will swear up and down that Arizona State has a lot of juice because they kind of prank each other and, do hazing things right before the game.
We got one here. Interesting. South Carolina Clemson apparently is a big deal.
The Palmetto Bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big one.
And EJ's, your big Miami.
Miami FSU.
Yeah, not what it used to be.
No, but still, all those wide rights. Shout out to those Florida State kickers for choking in the biggest moments.
Now you're trolling.
Yeah, I am. But look, you're going to go
That's
to the
all you
Cup
got.
playoff. Like, that's all we got right now.
You're bitter. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. So that's the debate for today. Greatest college football rivalry of all time. It's rivalry week. Let us know what you think. Maggie and Pearl on Twitter. You got youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio, twitch.tv/CBS Sports Radio. And again, 855-212-4CBS. Don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the Maggie and Perloff Show. Great debate series today. Best rivalry in college football. You could call in with yours, 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Just in Twitter real quick, I put it out there. This is my favorite response. EJ has Texas-Oklahoma, the Red River rivalry. Andy Nelson tweets, Texas versus Texas is back as the greatest rivalry. I'm a huge fan of the Texas is back. Texas is back, though.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot. You could tweet us, call us, everything. Everybody is so passionate about this. I love it. What's the one that we're just talking about? SUNY Cortland versus Ithaca. Throw out the record books.
The Cortica jug. This is massive. Division 3. I was home the other day, and someone was telling me, I'm going up to the tailgate. Got the Cortica jug. I know
what does that even
people
mean?
who have played in that.
Oh,
rivalry.
Cortland and Ithaca. Oh, I get it now. So there's nothing called a All right, I'm a little slow on the uptake here.
You wouldn't know it. It's an upstate New York thing. Let's go to James is in Youngstown. He's got a thought on the biggest college football rivalry. Hey, James, what's up?
Hey, Maggie. Thanks for having me on the show. So, obviously from Ohio, I'm going to say Ohio State, Michigan for a couple reasons. First of all, you failed to mention the nickname of our rivalry, which is just the game.
The game.
And I think that speaks a lot. Also, I have friends that I literally don't speak to for a solid 1 week buffer on either side of this game, no matter who wins, who's favored, or anything like that. So that's my point, and thanks for letting me call.
James, thank you so much. See, this is why where Perloff picked Michigan, Ohio State, I picked the Iron Bowl because so James has friends who are Michigan people that he doesn't talk to for a week. If you are a fan of Auburn or Alabama, you don't have that luxury. This is the in-state rival. That's why it's different to me because I've got to live amongst my rival. Like, I can't escape, unless I work at the University of Auburn or at the University of Alabama. I can't escape this rivalry where Ohio State, Michigan, you can always retreat to your corners.
The other thing, too, about Ohio State, Michigan right now is those are two most important swing states in politics. Basically, the presidential elections show politicians get in there, and the first thing any politician says in either state is, how about how bad that other state is? So really, everybody's sort of playing to the rivalry as well. In Alabama, you're playing to all Alabama voters, so you can't really, no politicians coming in there. You would never come into a rally and say, Auburn stinks, because half the crowd might be Auburn. So you can't do that. In Ohio State, Michigan, that's the first thing you say. You say, oh, man, that school up north, they're terrible.
Yeah, but it's obvious pandering. I'm telling you guys,
yeah,
we've got to start
works.
This politician consulting firm, or we consult politicians strictly on things of sports.
I mean, we do say pandering maybe doesn't happen in Alabama, Auburn, but I mean, we did have, Miss Alabama, Catherine Webb, who was an Auburn grad, show up for her boyfriend, A.J. McCarron. I think now her
They're
husband.
married, yeah.
Yeah, husband,
they got
A.J.
kids.
McCarron at the time. In Alabama stuff when they were going to the national championship. So that was
what
one
people
example.
remember about her?
That was one example where I think maybe the allegiances weren't as, blood tied as we think they are. Right?
Listen, I mean, she married the guy, and
I don't know. Look, I know one thing. If significant other, they went to Penn, so I don't have to worry about it. But if they were a Florida State person, it would not matter. It's all about the U.
Really? So you fell in love. You're a Miami fan. If you fell in love with a Florida State person, you'd call it off.
Notre Dame.
I don't know if I would call it off, but there's no way I'm like, all right, you know what? You went to Florida State, or even if they were a Florida State athlete. I'm not rooting for Florida State. Not happening.
Man, I don't know what that's like. My husband and I are all simpatico on all of our teams.
Yeah, that's a good thing for you guys. Would you get that giant chest tattoo that A.J. McCarron got if you do you guys remember that thing?
No, he got a chest tattoo?
Oh, it's the worst tattoo you've ever seen.
Well, that's the bar.
I like A.J. McCarron too, and I like Catherine Webb, but he got a really bizarre chest
Looking it
tattoo.
up
Look it
now.
up. Oh, you guys don't.
Whoa, that's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, AJ McCarron went all in, and
Oh, it's a religious theme.
oh, it is okay. Anyway,
But this thing is big. It's like a shirt.
I will say though, I mean, look,
Crop top.
I expect an XFL legend like AJ McCarron to have a tattoo like this, quite frankly, right? I mean, doesn't that kind of fit in?
Are we
with
sure it's
XFL?
real? It's real,
no,
right?
AJ McCarron, that was surprising because he was not that tattoos aren't wholesome, but I don't think anyone expected him to be a big tattoo guy coming up.
I know, but I agree with that. But
Yeah.
I mean, like, just like thinking about the XFL, you think of kind of renegade.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
like
yeah.
he fits right in. You know, the best he may be the best quarterback ever in XFL history. And yeah, of course.
Is he really? Actually, I didn't
AJ
even know.
McCarron was lighting it up. That's why I think he got an NFL job this year because of it. He was lighting it up.
Well,
in
he was a
XFL
fourth
last
round
year.
pick. He
I know,
did have
yeah.
a shot, but. Yeah, that's a really. I like your original take that you have trouble dating someone. So my wife doesn't even like sports, so we have no issues here. But she's from Boston. Her dad's a big Red Sox fan. No problems there because I'm a National League guy. He's an American League guy.
I can't imagine being married to a Patriots fan.
So I did have, and I'm thinking about it now, I did have an ex who she wasn't into sports, but her family were Chicago Bulls fans. And I'm a Knicks fan.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So,
Well, they've
and
kind of wiped the floor with you for the last
ever, right?
yeah.
Forever, basically.
You don't really have a like this. That rivalry is not making it on this
Right,
list.
but it was
Since
tough the
1982.
first time meeting the family. The mom was like, "Oh, you're a Knicks fan. Well, it was great in the '90s when we beat you all the time." And I'm just like,
What an opener.
I think this is probably going to last very long, is it?
That was a test.
Yeah, that was rough.
Well, they're trying to, to see what do you push back? What do you say? That was a major test.
Yeah, I was gone in 5-6 months.
Lose my number. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Let's get some headlines going. Pete McCarthy is with us this morning. Good morning, Pete.
Good morning. Well, this report brought to you by Northern Tool and Equipment. Get the tools you need from the brands you trust. Start solving your projects today at northerntool.com. We're made for this. Well, the College Football Playoff Committee unveiling its latest rankings that, don't really matter at this point yesterday, but I do think it's worth breaking down a bit. Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, the top three, and that all-important fourth spot does indeed switch. Washington leaps over Florida State. Committee Chair Boo Corrigan said it really was about Washington and what Washington did this weekend. Corrigan denying it had anything to do with the Jordan Travis injury. And look, the Huskies with a win over a ranked opponent in Oregon State on Saturday. Florida State beat FCS North Alabama. So, look, if you want to punish FSU for playing a nobody, I'm for that. But
yeah.
Are we really punishing the Seminoles for losing their quarterback Jordan Travis to the lower leg injury? I mean, that is what's happening here, right?
Don't you guys want to see them have to make this decision and keep out an undefeated Florida State? I don't think it's going to happen, but that would be wild to say you're undefeated, but you can't come.
Okay, so here's where I think the big thing happens, which is how much is the eye test either going to matter or should it matter for Florida State's next two games? Like if you win on last second field goals or because the special teams made some big play and the backup quarterback now doesn't look good and the offense looks bad, is that going to matter even if they keep winning, even if they win the next two?
But you're playing two pretty good teams, though. So you don't really need, Louisville is top 10. They've one loss. So I think the teams are good enough to propel you here. That's going to be a quality win.
Right, so if it's last second win,
I don't
defense actually led the way, offense looks crappy, are they going to want to put a bad-looking offense into the college football playoff?
I know. It's a TV show. I understand.
Yeah.
But they can't keep out a 12-0 team. It'd be bizarre.
Well, what do we want? What do we want come New Year's Eve, right? Like, what do we want to sit down and watch? If Tate Rodemaker is, looking like NFL Tim Tebow, then do we want Florida State in that game? If he's looking like college Tim Tebow, then I would think we will. But, right, like, what do we want? Is it unfair to knock off an undefeated team because their quarterback got hurt? Or, hey, TV show, let's get the most entertaining thing out there.
Well, the other thing, the year that Ohio State lost their quarterback, they had great weapons all around. That's Florida State this year. So maybe this guy will be good.
Where Cardell Jones was able to.
Yeah.
So I'll answer Pete's question directly.
Yeah.
I want the best game.
Yeah.
Because I'm never going to have to deal with this question ever again because this is going to 12 teams next year. So I'm getting everybody in next year. This is the last time when it's 4. Let's get the 4 best teams, whatever metric we want to use to define that, we can use it. But just simply being undefeated when you're in the ACC, which is not the best conference, to me,
Yeah.
Just directly, best teams, and I'm sorry, FSU.
I think it sends a terrible message if you keep FSU out. They scheduled LSU and killed them, and LSU's a good team. If you're basically saying to everybody, don't worry, we're not going to count those early season games as anything, that means that we're going to have nothing but cupcakes on everybody's schedule from here on out.
No, but it's just because of the injury. It's unfortunate to them, but it does change things.
It's just not fair. And I love this point that people have been making. What if Florida State's undefeated and a one-loss team wins a title? If I'm a Seminole fan, I'm saying we're national champions. We have no losses. You have one.
And you didn't even play in the college
Central
football
Florida
playoff?
argument. Yes,
Yeah.
I honestly, Florida State, they're not a small fan base. I would think they would be pretty mad if they were undefeated and didn't get in.
What about college football's ever fair? This is not.
Yeah, but you screw over the Big 12. You don't screw over Florida State, Alabama, and Alabama. Yes, I mean, you screw over TCU and Baylor. You don't screw over a team like Florida State. That's the way it works. You're right. It's not fair, but this is not a little sister of the poor school.
I speak for all Miami fans. Please screw over Florida.
No, it's not about that. It's just anytime someone brings up fairness in sports, especially college football, with none of this is like a science at all. This is a playoff committee full of people sitting in a conference room watching games. I'm sorry, Pete, what else you got?
Well, is that kind of the fun, right? Like Jeff Hostetler won a Super Bowl. We can't give Tate Rodemaker a shot here. And I will say this,
Nick Foles.
just to piggyback off what you were talking about earlier. I married into a Florida State family. So, Maggie, if you get your way and they don't get in, it's going to be a rough Thanksgiving.
It's going to be bad
here,
for you, Pete. I'd never want that personally for you. But yeah. Pete, who's your college team?
Well, I went to Hofstra, and we had a football team. We don't anymore. I do not have a college football team. I live in Greensboro, North Carolina now, so I've thought about jumping on someone local there. But I guess Florida State. I just kind of get into it with my wife when she cares.
It's smart just to go along to get along. Hofstra's football program met a untimely demise, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yes, it did. We had some great players, too. Marcus Colston and a number of guys that went to the NFL.
Who's that little guy who got
Corbett.
Wayne Corbett.
Wayne Corbett.
Yep. Willie Colon.
Gio Carmazzi, one of the Brady Six.
Yep.
Hofstra guy, yeah. And speaking of Brady, how about Brady really trashing the NFL on the Stephen A. Smith show the other day?
I think there's a lot of mediocrity in today's NFL. I don't see the excellence that I saw in the past.
Why not?
And
why not?
I think the coaching isn't as good as it was. I don't think the development of young players is as good as it was. The rules have allowed a lot of bad habits to get into the actual performance of the game. Mm-hmm. So I just think the product, in my opinion, is less than what it's been.
And Brady continued going in on player safety.
Offensive players need to protect themselves. It's not up to the defensive player to protect the offensive player. A defensive player needs to protect himself. I didn't throw the ball to certain areas because I was afraid players were going to get knocked out. Mm-hmm. That's the reality. Wow. I didn't throw it to the middle when I played Ray Lewis because you knock him out of the game, and I couldn't afford to lose a good player.
I get confused. Did Tom Brady play in the 70s?
I mean, he did span some era, span the era where big hits and then no longer having those kind of bone-crunching hits anymore. To me, about Brady, this is so... Back in my day, it was much better where Brady benefited from a lot of these rules. Is Brady playing till 45 if you're allowed to hit the quarterback like you were in 2002? No shot.
No.
Maybe he's doing like Michael Jordan and he's worried about his legacy. So he's already seen Mahomes coming up on him and he's going to say, Mahomes played in a different NFL. I was in the real NFL.
Yes.
He beat Mahomes in a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's already got the head-to-head.
Yeah, I know. But you know what I'm saying. He's basically saying, when I played football, it was great. I can't believe he's doing
it.
He
also beat Mahomes in the AFC Championship game.
Hey, it's true.
But here's the thing, right? Do you think that he is this savvy, that he's already laying the groundwork?
I don't know. I found this a bizarre rant because, as you said, he benefited from all these rules. He didn't feel like an old school guy to me. I guess he is. What quarterback wants guys to be hit more? That's so bizarre. Like, remember a few years ago
when Brady is.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
A few years ago when he called out all the offensive holding calls and the league stopped calling offensive holding. So he's definitely watching the games and he doesn't like bad officiating just like the rest of us. I think he's getting frustrated on his couch.
It's possible. Yeah. Pete.
And that's what's happening. I think, you think about Brady and his brand, it's all about youth, right? Like how youthful he looks and take care of his body and stuff. And then, but he's still a 46-year-old. He sounds like a 46-year-old and all this too, right?
I think that he probably wants to be remembered and get credit for being not just savvy, like, hey, this was part of the strategy where I just couldn't throw over the middle like guys can in this day and age, and I had to work around it. But also, I think he wants to be remembered as being really tough. Like, we talk about him with longevity, and how he's, the eternal fountain of youth. I think Brady does get credit for being tough, but I remember working with Bart Scott, and he used to say, Brady was so good at just like avoiding the hit. Like he said, it was the least satisfying person to hit because he was already going down. Like he did protect himself.
Yeah,
very
but
well.
he took. I mean, as Giselle mentioned, he did have a lot of concussions.
Oh, sure.
Another thing about Brady is that his style play was not that entertaining to me. I did not enjoy watching the Patriots play. They would sort of chip down the field, and Belichick would play conservatively when he needed to.
So here's the thing about the Patriots. It was always how impossibly and how it always felt like inevitably they were going to come up in the big moments, right? And like the one thing I'll say about the Patriots, and I think why they never got tons of backlash about being in so many Super Bowls and playing in 10 Super Bowls or whatever, because all their Super Bowls were close.
Yeah,
they
it was
were
competitive.
winning blowout Super Bowls, which gave us a really entertaining product.
But I think that, I think ratings have continued to go up since the Patriots dynasty. I think the Chiefs are a much more entertaining brand of football. Obviously, would you rather watch Patrick Mahomes than Tom Brady throwing it to Julian Edelman 14 times?
Yeah, but the Brady has like the great comeback win in the Super Bowl. Like there are just so many moments that he has where he delivered.
Yeah, and I totally disagree. I think football is just as good a product now. I'm a big fan of parity too. I think football ratings will continue to soar because I think the sport's peaking right now. There's no way it was better in 2005. That's just ridiculous. And all the numbers prove that. In 2005, the game was brutal and kind of ugly.
Yeah, but the players are saying they kind of liked it that way. What else you got, Pete?
Well, another part with Brady, if he has these opinions on the NFL, remember, he's got this big contract with Fox. He could be broadcasting games come next year. Like, do we want this Brady energy on the broadcasts? I think, Tony Romo is kind of that raw enthusiasm, and maybe his act has grown kind of stale now. But do we want Brady, like, kind of old manning it up there? And
kind of, yeah.
Say to him, he's the GOAT. Like, if he says, well, Zach Wilson stinks, he doesn't know what he's looking at, like, what are you nobody's gonna argue against it.
I mean, the NFL needs is Charles Barkley. I mean, they need kind of its ombudsman. He could be perfect for it.
I hope that Brady keeps this energy. I want this, like, the critique, because I don't need any more of, you're right, like Romo, who everything's amazing. It's like, wow, we're watching the Bills and the Jets. You would have thought that this was like the two best teams to ever play the sport. Or like the John Gruden, who's just like rah-rah, everyone's amazing.
Well, John Gruden was totally random. But Troy Aikman's been that curmudgeon lately. He's been killing quarterbacks. I don't like it.
He's been better, I think, since that.
I don't like it because he says things, Troy Aikman never threw more than 24 touchdowns in a season, and he acts like he's God's gift to football. So a guy doesn't throw for 400 yards in a game. He's like, I can't believe he missed all these plays. I think Troy's overly critical.
Oh, my God. At least he calls out when quarterbacks are playing badly.
He calls out quarterbacks who are playing just fine, though. He calls out the quarterback who's up by 2 touchdowns. I think he's over harsh.
I like it. Pete, got anything more for us?
Yeah, we can. Aaron Rodgers on the Pat McAfee show yesterday. We got all this Jets drama, and everybody's got to suffer through the Jets again on national television on Friday. Tim Boyle starting that game, by the way, and Zach Wilson relegated to third string. And Aaron Rodgers, Jets general manager, giving his take.
We need a spark, and obviously this was the decision that was made. I feel for Zach. I love Zach. Zach's such a great kid, and I do think he still has a bright future in the league. This has been a tough go for all of us. A lot of times in these situations, there's certain guys that got a scapegoat, and I think there's enough blame to go around a number of different positions.
Scapegoat. That feels like a big word, and Zach Wilson did not take that bait.
I don't think I was scapegoated. Absolutely not. I mean, you got to look at the situation. We're not scoring touchdowns. Like, regardless of what I'm doing, my job as a quarterback is to help us score points.
Only the Giants and Patriots have scored fewer points than the Jets, and the Jets have, punt return touchdowns, defensive touchdowns. I mean, scapegoat. How are we scapegoating Zach Wilson?
Yeah, I mean, that's Rodgers. I know he's recovering from a torn Achilles. His back is going to be hurt next from reaching. That Zach Wilson is the scapegoat. Easy there, pal. You're going to have to go back to, Neil Elitrosh. I think that, listen, I actually commend Wilson there. This dude has been maligned. He's been terrible in press conferences at times. That's only hurt him. His own team has turned on him. at that point, I don't know what else he would have said, but I'm sure he could have found a way to screw it up if this was last year. Take the medicine. Your Jets career is over. He probably can't wait for it to be over, quite frankly, because if there's ever, I don't know if he'll ever salvage his career, but damn, this kid probably needs a change of scenery. It's been enough.
Yeah, change of scenery. Talking about future XFL quarterbacks. Yeah. If Zach would do that. By the way, Tim Boyle, I am dying to see this experiment.
No.
I'm just dying.
Does he Aaron Rodgers caddy? Aren't you curious what's going to happen here? A completely unqualified man playing quarterback in the NFL? This is going to be a wild team.
Yeah, I see it every week. It's not fun.
I can't do this again with another New York quarterback.
Pete, thank you so much. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Okay, so we have more from Aaron Rodgers. We can get into that. Also, it's Wednesday, which means we do the great debate series around here today. Is the greatest college football rivalry of all time. I said the Iron Bowl. Perloff said Ohio State and Michigan. EJ says Texas, Oklahoma. And Carlos says Army, Navy. 855-212-4CBS. What do you think is the greatest rivalry in college football? We get to your calls and more next. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
I just called to say I love you.
And Stevie.
I just called to say how much I care.
Does anyone call anymore? I just FaceTime.
I just FaceTime, yeah.
Just FaceTime while you are brushing your teeth.
If you call me, I get upset.
I get
I'm like-
nervous.
I'm like, why aren't you just texting me?
Like, what's wrong?
You FaceTime people without telling them you're going to FaceTime them?
No, I don't FaceTime anybody. I text. I am terrified of any kind of verbal contact or visual contact.
This is funny because you do a show where
I know.
you take calls.
But a phone, no, it's what Maggie says.
all day.
If my phone lights up and you're calling me, then that's scary as all get out.
Well, we want you to call now, 855-212-4CBS. Great debate series for today. Greatest college football rivalry of all time. Let's go quickly around the horn on what we picked. Carlos, you start us off.
Army-Navy.
EJ.
OU, Texas.
Perloff.
Michigan, Ohio State, and go to my Twitter feed and vote on the poll for me.
Yes, and I said the Iron Bowl. Of course, Alabama and Auburn. Frank is in Georgia, has got one a little off the map for us. Hey, Frank, how are you?
Hey, good morning, and wishing you both a happy, safe Thanksgiving.
To you too, Frank. What's up?
I think Harvard-Yale is probably maybe one of the oldest rivalries in college football.
Oh, yeah.
But I'll tell you, the tailgate parties at those games are incredible.
So Perloff is obviously the resident Ivy Leaguer around here. You have also been to this game.
Harvard, yeah. I guess I have been to a Harvard. Yeah, because when I was up at Dan Patrick's show, we're right by Yale, and we used to go to that. I'm not sure I've been to this game.
Oh, I thought you had.
But have you guys seen the documentary with Tommy Lee Jones? It's a great documentary about they had this classic game that was a tie, because these used to be the two premier programs back in the day.
Yeah, the 20s. I mean, I think by the 20s, Michigan and Notre Dame had taken over.
Even
But,
into the
Harding was
60s,
president, or
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
they were
Cooley?
D1 until 60s or 70s, and it was really good. That's a very famous rivalry.
no,
for
it's
sure.
super famous. But
Yeah.
Frank, I'm just curious because, when we think of great tailgates, I think you're thinking about LSU. You're thinking about some of the SEC schools. What makes this tailgate so good?
It's the fanciest tailgate you'll ever see. Champagne and caviar and fresh lobster, and it's just something to behold.
Yeah, there's a Simpsons episode about it too.
When I tailgate, I bring a grill and have beer and hot dogs and chicken, but this is at a whole new level.
Man, I didn't know they were doing foie gras at tailgates. Frank, thank you for the phone call. Have yourself a great Thanksgiving.
There's a famous Simpsons where Montgomery Burns has basically talks about the Harvard-Yale game because I think he went to Yale. I can't remember. Anyway, it's great. It is super, super fancy. And I think there's a little money behind these two schools.
Man, what would ever give you that idea?
Yeah, the documentary is called Harvard Beats Yale 29-29, and it is an unbelievable story. Tommy Lee Jones was on one of the teams, and it's really cool, actually.
I mean, does that make a tailgate cool, or does it make it kind of insufferable that it's caviar
so
and
insufferable.
lobster?
Oh,
So
beyond
obnoxious.
insufferable.
It sounds
Right.
delicious, but what an obnoxious tailgate.
Exactly.
And Mr.
That's
Burns
Harvard
did go to
Yale.
Yale, by the way.
Mr. Burns
It's the most hateable tailgate of all time.
Exactly.
But awesome, too.
Imagine what the conversation is like at these kids, let alone the food is going to be fancy. Imagine the conversation,
I
how
would-
highfalutin that's got to be.
Although you might want to try and get some stock advice there.
I'm thinking of that tailgate of Harvard and Yale, and then the complete diametric opposite of anything with the Bills tailgate. Like
Thank
you
you.
got people jumping through tables, and Harvard and Yale's, they're using the tables for caviar and linen napkins.
Yeah, it's tablecloths, and you can't jump through the tablecloth or the doilies. Yeah, Bill's tailgate, not exactly the height of intelligence.
Sophistication. You're getting height if you're jumping off of that van.
Well, yeah, you want to get some height on that. You lighting yourself on fire. Maybe.
Uncle Phil is not doing classes on how to be proper like he did with Will in that episode where he's teaching them how to use a shrimp fork and.
I mean, if you want to see
proper.
class, you got to go down to my tailgate in Philly. That is class.
Meanwhile,
just wear brass knuckles.
And bring a shiv. The Athletic did an anonymous player poll yesterday. The results came out, and the most insufferable fan base, according to the players in the NFL, is, do we even need a drum roll, the Philadelphia fan base. Let's go back to the phones. Brad is in Oregon. Hey, Brad. How you doing?
Hey, good morning, guys. Great show as always. Thank you. Wish you and the crew a happy Thanksgiving.
Oh, thanks. Same
a lot of great rivalries out there today, but I want to go back to one that is no longer a rivalry, Oklahoma, Nebraska.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't matter whether Barry Switzer or Osborne. A couple years they were both undefeated, but that was a game that determined a national champion. And that rivalry was just whether you had a good team, a bad team. It was just always a knockdown, drag-out fight.
Brad, it's a great call.
Yeah.
Thank you for making it. Have a great Thanksgiving.
It's sort of a warning shot, too, for conference realignment, killing rivalries. I mean, if the second you see an old highlight of Oklahoma, Nebraska, you know that you are seeing future pros on both lines. That's old school college football.
Absolutely. And you're right. I mean, this is the thing about not bigger isn't always better, because sometimes it leads to these rivalries getting sort of thrown by the wayside, and it absolutely stinks. Rick is in California. Hey, Rick, what's up?
Hey, how you doing? I listen to your show every morning. It's great. On my commute to work. The old rivalry, Stanford and Cal. Remember in the 80s where that run back was, where the football player ran into the band?
Yeah.
Remember? I mean, that was a classic. So we don't really have that rivalry anymore, but what do you guys think?
Well, our friend Amy Trask, of course, former Raiders executive, loves that one. She's all about Stanford Cal. Remember, she called it and said she made an argument that was the best one. That's a little highfalutin too, though.
Well, yes. I mean, maybe not to the extent of Harvard, but isn't Stanford like the Harvard of the West? Don't they call it that?
Yeah. I mean, Stanford is pretty elite. Cal's pretty elite too. But there is a big history here. I like that one as well.
Yeah, which is interesting, though. They have this great memory, like you have this great moment, but it's the Stanford USC. Isn't that?
Maybe. I'm not sure.
But yeah, Stanford Cal is one of the all-timers. Amazing. John Elway. Incredible. Stuart, North Carolina. Good morning, Stuart.
Good morning, and great show as always.
Oh, thank you.
I'm going to preface my comment by saying I'm an Ohio State graduate, and I live in the middle of North Carolina Duke basketball. But the greatest rivalry in all of sports, and I don't think it's close, is Army-Navy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because it's way more than sports. And that's just a different level of rivalry. But it's a great conversation, and I love your show.
Oh, thank you, Stuart. This is Carlos Picks. Carlos is still active duty and has served our country, so thank you for your service, Carlos. And it's like elevated. This is why it gets its own weekend, right? This is why it gets the standalone and gets all the eyeballs, even though these two teams are not vying for a national title.
It feels a little different, almost like it should be in a different category. That's kind of fair. Army-Navy, I can't argue against Army-Navy. That feels wrong.
No, and nor should you. Okay. More coming up. Your phone calls, greatest college football rivalry. Also, we've got something from Deion Sanders that you got to hear.
You're in a 5-minute break. Break ends in 5 seconds.
She can run the 40 faster than Tom Brady. He got a perfect score on the Wonderlic. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Lots of pressure going into this college football rivalry week. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff on this Thanksgiving Eve. Hope wherever you are, if you're traveling, stay safe out there. And lots of pressure, Perloff, especially on coaches when it comes to these rivalries. But to me, for the big game, for Ohio State and Michigan, just the game, this is not where the pressure you think would lie, is who's feeling it the most, if that makes sense. Jim Harbaugh has been at the center of a sign-stealing scandal. He is currently suspended, will not be on the sidelines for this game. However, I think Michigan has every built-in excuse in the book to lose this game. Now, they might be the better team on paper, and they have this game at home. But with Harbaugh not there, Sharon Moore is going to be on the sidelines for the third straight game. With the mentality that Michigan has had since this scandal broke, which is, we are the victims here. Did we break the rules? Well, that's not important. That's not important here because we are the ones who are getting unduly victimized, called out. We should be America's team, and it goes on and on and on. They're basically paving the way for excuses if they lose this game. Meanwhile, Ryan Day over at Ohio State, someone who is an excellent coach, but has lost 2 straight to Harbaugh, maybe because of sign stealing, we're not really sure. His seat is warming up, and that fan base is getting cranky because they have lost to Harbaugh in Michigan, which is borderline unacceptable for Ohio State. He comes in, he's got to win this game.
Yeah, but it's the only time, really, I guess in 2018, Michigan was favored. The fact that Ohio State comes in as underdogs is such a rare thing. They were big favorites. 2 years ago, they were 6.5-point favorites. Last year, they were 9-point favorites. They had C.J. Stroud. So I think there was a lot more pressure then. This is not a great Ohio State team. They might go on to win the title. Their defense is good, but this is not the team we've seen under Ryan Day. Ryan Day's kind of an Urban Meyer disciple in the sense that their offense is surprising everyone. It's shocking, hits you, and you just nothing you can do about it. That is not this Ohio State team. I don't think the expectation, no one's really talking about Ohio State as a national title favorite. It hasn't come up once. I think Michigan is being talked about this way. And I think I understand what you're saying about the excuses. I think Michigan's really going to be upset at itself if it doesn't take advantage this year, because this is a team that was built to win a national title.
Wait, hold on. Let's not forget, though, just, I don't know, was it 4 weeks ago that Ohio State was number 1 in the college football playoff rankings?
Yeah, but nobody cares about that.
Well, okay, but
That
you're
is so
saying
meaningless. Everyone knows the committee is just waiting to see who wins Ohio State, Michigan.
that's fine. But when you're saying that no one is expecting them to be a title contender,
Yeah, but
that's not true because you wouldn't be ranked number one in that poll if you weren't a legit title contender.
No, they were rewarding them because they played Notre Dame. The AP, there wasn't a single college football expert who thought Ohio State was better than Georgia. That would be one of the wildest takes ever to say Ohio State, when they were number one, was a better team than Georgia.
Okay, well, it's not like Georgia has come on recently and they've been playing a lot better, but I would say that Ohio State basically played Georgia. You could argue could have won that game last year. I know they don't have C.J. Stroud at quarterback anymore, but I don't think there was ever – I think there were people who said, let's see, let's wait and see. Not people who are writing off Ohio State. You cannot write them off just by virtue of where they've been ranked.
Right, but that ranking was idiotic. It didn't really mean anything. The AP has obviously put Michigan out of Ohio State. I think there's no doubt in anyone's mind that Georgia and Michigan have been the best two teams in the country.
But at least Ohio State has actually played somebody, I know they both now played Penn State, but you could say that just the schedule alone would show you that Ohio State, more battle tested, they've taken on bigger and better opponents.
Right. But this is the weird year where Michigan's favored. This is the Michigan team. This is it. It's this or nothing for them. I'm telling you right now, if they can't win it all this year, even with the scandal, I don't think Jim Harbaugh ever wins a title there.
Let's hear a little bit from Jim Harbaugh. The press conferences are getting they're getting weirder. Jim Harbaugh, here's what he had to say.
It's like the Ted Lasso show, believe. What comes out of that is believe, and I'm just so proud of our team. Despite that noise, our locker room's in one piece. And like Ted, for me, locker rooms, a lot like my mom's bathing suits. I like to see them in one piece.
Hold for applause. He's so bad delivering these things. It's like he's looking down at the paper. He's basically got to read it off the sheet. Did you think Jim Harbaugh watched Ted Lasso? These are college football coaches. They don't do anything but just sit in a cave, right? Recruit and go and watch film.
I don't know. Deion Sanders does about 37 hours of media a week. What's he doing that?
Well, that's just that's just Deion's life.
Yeah, I don't know that they're all sitting down breaking down film. Yeah, listen, there is a lot of noise around Jim Harbaugh, but you got to give him a little credit. He's built a really good team here, and I think it's really interesting. Jim Harbaugh is clearly going to say to his guys, "We're not running anything here. We're just going to go onto that field on Sunday, and we are going to just run it down their throat, Michigan style." He is using this all as bulletin board material. I don't know how much you believe in bulletin board material, but I think this could have a positive effect on Michigan where they're just so fired up. They're going to come out like a house on fire here.
Well, it's the biggest rivalry, one of the biggest ones in sports. We've actually been debating that this morning. But, they should be properly pumped up on both sides for this game. But Michigan, they get the built-in excuse because they get the us against the world. And if we lose, it's because everyone screwed us over. It's because the Big Ten acted out of turn. It's because the NCAA is breathing down our necks. It's because all of these things that are off the field, and that's what they're using as the rallying cry. Now you've made it not about football. Because if you were making it about, hey, everyone hates us and everyone thinks we're cheating, now you have not made it about the game. So to me,
but that's all great. But what happens if they lose?
Who?
Michigan.
They have excuses. I think they're going to pull every card and say, well, if Harbaugh had been on the sidelines, if we hadn't had all these distractions.
Right. They'll have all those excuses, but then they have another year where they're going to come up empty. I'm just saying, if you look at the history of this program, it's been a long time since they were a real title contender, and this is a chance. If they come up empty this year, I would feel very hopeless as a Michigan fan. Excuses are great. Yeah, they'll use all those excuses, but they are not going to enjoy watching Ohio State in the Final Four. This is a bit of a desperate time for them. Just the way the season is lined up, the way Harbaugh is lined up. Next year, Bruce Feldman said he might not even be on the sideline most of the year because he might get suspended by I guess the NCAA.
Yeah, their investigations.
This
ongoing.
is really, I think this is a very desperate game for Michigan.
I failed to mention also they fired their linebackers coach last week, and they were very cagey about it. Let's hear.
Yeah, that was my idea to elevate Rick Minter. That was I think that statement was put out by our university and described the situation. I don't have anything to add about it.
I mean, it's amazing the lack of accountability that college football coaches get to take here, because basically if you go back to the statement that he's referring everyone to, they don't say why they fired him either. So everyone just gets to guess. And Yahoo Sports is reporting that Chris Partridge, who was the linebacker coach, that he was potentially allegedly tampering with the investigation. Not that he knew about it beforehand or while Connor Stallions was stealing signs, but after the fact may have tampered. And that's just a report, by the way.
Yeah. Do we really care what Chris Partridge actually did? Everybody was cheating here, obviously.
I know. So it's crazy for them how they've played the victim so much in this, considering, whether you think it's a speeding ticket or whether you think it's a felony, it happened. So they're paying the consequences.
So that's a great example. It's completely a speeding ticket that's being treated like capital murder.
Why are people getting fired? Why is Jim Harbaugh not on the sidelines for this amazing rivalry game?
But you got to fire somebody here, right? Somebody besides Connor Stallions, who I still don't know if he was an actual real employee. I guess he was by the end, but he was sort of, firing a linebacker coach. They never even
fired him. He resigned.
Who even cares about firing a linebacker coach? That means nothing.
Well, maybe inside
somebody's
the building
got to it's got to be a real Michigan man and take a bullet here. Somebody had to be fired, right?
855-212-4CBS. So it's definitely added another layer onto this rivalry. And because it is Wednesday, we do our great debate series around here. We can hit the music, Carlos. Why not? Let's do it again. Okay. Da-da-da-da-da-da. That's not the music. Me vamping is not the music. But there we go.
The Great Debate Series.
Today we are doing the best college football rivalries of all time. Perloff, you decided to go with the low-hanging fruit on this one.
Yeah, it's funny because it is a debate, so I took the obvious choice of what the greatest rivalry is. Because isn't that the point, to discuss the greatest rivalry? Let's do the greatest rivalry, Ohio State-Michigan.
Yeah, right now I think that one, you can make a good case. It's definitely very salacious at the moment, and the two teams have been very good in vying for national championships, at least a little, very recently. I'm going to go with the Iron Bowl. Legendary names: Bear Bryant, Nick Saban, Bo Jackson,
Gus Malzahn.
Oh, come on. I didn't give you Gene Chizik.
Gene Chizik.
Yeah. How about, can I give you Cam Newton? Do we have to go to Gene Chizik? We can just go to Cam. All the NFL players that we watch on Sundays from both of these programs, obviously Alabama in particular. And one of the all-time great highlights from this rivalry is the kick six.
56-yarder. Does not have the leg. And Chris Davis takes it in the back of the end zone. He'll run it out to the 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 45. There goes Davis. Oh, my God. Davis is going to run it all the way back. Auburn's going to win the football game. Auburn's going to win the football game. He ran the missed field goal back. He ran it back 109 yards. They're not going to keep him off the field tonight. Holy cow. Oh, my God. Auburn wins.
Oh, pure, unbridled joy. EJ, what do you have?
Thinking of food, thinking of iconic venue, thinking of a Clash of the Titans. I'm thinking of spectacular, fantastic finishes. I'm talking about the Red River rivalry, OU Texas, kind of like we had in 2021, where we had a 30-yard rushing touchdown at the buzzer. Who does that? Only OU in Texas.
Williams in the shotgun, Stoops in motion. Direct snap, Brooks fakes the pitch, bounces it outside. He's to the 30, he's to the 25, he's to the 20, he's going to go! Kennedy Brooks, he just won! He just won the game! Kennedy Brooks just won OU Texas! A 33-yard touchdown run by Kennedy Brooks!
That is par for the course for these OU Texas games. You got the split stadium, one half burnt orange, one half crimson. You got people eating fried butter, fried hot dogs,
Fried
fried
lard.
Oreos outside. The Cotton Bowl is one of the traditional, one of the most iconic college football venues. You get awesome games. It's not a snooze fest like Michigan, Ohio State, where it's 3 yards in a cloud of dust. It's not little brother, big brother like the Iron Bowl. These are two teams who really hate each other, who are both usually at the top of their game. So I'm going Texas OU.
But EJ, one thing to counter, A&M and Texas is coming back next year.
It is, but that's another one.
It's got a lot of history, dude. That's a big deal.
But again, another little brother, big brother. Who cares about Texas A&M? No.
Who knows? Deion Sanders might be their coach. Maybe not. Carlos, your greatest college football rivalry is what?
Oh, I had to pick one where everyone wins at the end of the day. What's synonymous with America? Football. Apple pies, Taco Bell, Bed Bath & Beyond. Nothing says America like Army, Navy, and even though it had one of the longest streaks where it was completely one-sided until 2016.
Second down and 8, trailing by 3. Bradshaw! Touchdown, Army!
Well, go Army, beat Navy, beat Navy, beat Navy.
There we go. Carlos active duty too, so we appreciate that and appreciate your service. You know what, I just realized something? This is why we are who we are. Because I don't know about you, but when I was growing up, when I would hear a highlight like that, or when I was a young person, I would hear a highlight, I want to be the person calling the play, not the person doing the thing. This is how we know we picked the right profession, guys, or I did.
I was in the backyard hitting the buzzer beater, running at the touchdown, I fantasized that moment a million times.
Yeah, maybe I knew from a young age I was never going to be at the 25, at the 20, at the 15, at the 10. That was just not in my future. Like, I have girl power.
You didn't even say the 5.
Listen, maybe a different generation, maybe a couple years if I was born a little bit later. But I kind of knew that wasn't going to happen for me.
By the way, we're getting tweets of other rivalries that are just hysterical.
What do you got?
By the way, EJ, you said Miami. We got multiple Florida States over Miami, Florida State. I'm not down there. That seems like it'd be a pretty big deal. They're playing this week. Georgia, Florida, is that the Georgia, Florida cocktail party? The Apple Cup, Washington State, a lot of those.
I mean, the Civil War is...
a lot of Civil Wars, too.
The Oregon State. I mean, that's like why I have the Iron Bowl. I just picked the Iron Bowl just because the SEC is the premier conference. Yeah. But the in-state rivalry, I think, elevates, right? You can't escape. When you work with people, live with people, like if you're Ohio State, Michigan, you guys can all go to your corners for 51 weeks out of the year. It's only this week where you have to really deal with each other. Like if I live in Alabama, I'm not going to avoid people from Auburn, people from Alabama. You can't.
I think Ohio State and Michigan people mix a lot more than you think. I mean, like Toledo is on the Michigan border. I think
everyone think of Toledo.
Toledo's a big city, and I just think Michigan and Ohio State people kind of move between the states. I think there's a lot more interaction than you think. How about this one? There's a DePaul-Wabash rivalry. That's the thing. Like, there are these old rivalries that we don't even know about. But my poll, by the way, is not even close. I'm so sorry. It is obviously Ohio State, Michigan. 65% say it's the greatest rivalry. The second one, Army-Navy, 30%.
Let's go to the phones, 855-212-4CBS. Michael is in San Diego. Hey, Michael, how are you?
I'm doing good this morning. How are you guys doing?
Fantastic. What's your rivalry, the best one?
The best one is going to be Notre Dame versus USC.
It's a great one. Highlighted by moments like this.
Leinart going to try to sneak it ahead. He got in. Touchdown, SC!
The tush push, the bush push. Now it's the tush push. Before it was the bush push. Now everyone's doing it. Michael, what do you like about this rivalry?
Growing up as a Notre Dame fan, we went up to USC a lot, and excuse me, it's funny because there was a couple priests sitting in front of us one year, and they were literally saying, "Kill the white horse."
Wow.
Yeah, so that's pretty intense.
Yeah.
When you got Roman Catholic priests yelling to kill somebody or an animal.
Yowza. Michael, thank you for the phone call. Appreciate that. I can imagine that's jarring to hear as a child. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Notre Dame has Stanford this week. That's the final game.
Ooh, throw out the record books.
Perloff always
I
got
love
a
saying
comment.
throw out the record books. It's one of my favorite expressions.
855-212-4227. Keep it coming, guys, on the greatest college football rivalries of all time. We've got Deion Sanders quotes for you. We've got Mike Tomlin. We've got a lot to get to on this Thanksgiving Eve. Stick with us. The big admission coming from Deion Sanders. I didn't see this one coming. Deion has been kind of like an open book. Didn't see this one coming. We'll get to it in a minute. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining.
This is Maggie Gray with a CBS Sports Minute sponsored by Fairfield by Marriott, official hotel partner of the NCAA. This is Maggie Gray with an Odyssey Sports Minute sponsored by Fairfield by Marriott, official hotel partner of the NCAA. Well, all the attention has been on Jim Harbaugh and Michigan's sign-stealing scandal. It's Ohio State's head coach Ryan Day with more at stake in their rivalry game this Saturday. Despite all his success, Day has lost to Michigan twice. Despite all his success, Day has lost to Michigan the last 2 years, which is borderline unforgivable to Buckeyes fans. With Jim Harbaugh serving a suspension in this game and not on the sidelines, the Buckeyes should have the clear coaching advantage. Both teams have stout defenses and an effective running game. The difference to me, can Ryan Day find a way to get Marvin Harrison Jr. enough explosive plays to steal a win? I'm Maggie Gray.
One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Carlos. Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff Show. Carlos on the board with a romantic theme music choices today. Maggie,
low key banger.
Yeah, but I get the sense, Maggie, you don't like the sugary romantic stuff necessarily. Like if your husband surprised you one day and had the dinner table set with candles and was playing this song on, would you go for that?
What's going on around here?
Yeah.
No, these are the types of songs like that song I Want to Know What Love Is. Alone in my car, belting it out, tears streaming down your face, but no, not when anyone else is around.
We're going to go karaoke one of these days.
That's
the song I'm going to put for you.
Thank you. People will leave immediately.
Of course. But, Carlos, this theme is the exact opposite of what we're talking about today, the great sports debate. College football rivalries, tough, men fighting. Not, I want to know what love is. It's about hatred, the exact opposite. You call in 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. I also love, best part of a rivalry, you need like some strange prize. Like Indiana Purdue, the old oaken bucket, or you need an axe or something going on. And there's a lot of that's going to happen this weekend. I always forget. But call us and remind us of the strange little things that go with each of these rivalries.
Let's hit our pal Big Dave's in Kentucky. Dave, happy Thanksgiving. How you been?
Doing great. Happy early Thanksgiving to you guys.
What do you have for greatest college football rivalry? That's the theme today.
Yeah, you got to kind of be here, but how could I say anything but UK and U of L?
Because it's football, not basketball, Dave.
Because of the
I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say that, McLovin. The quality of play is not entered into this, I hope, but we're 70 miles apart, straight down Interstate 64, and it's not just the school rivalry, but it's kind of it's almost a cultural thing. You kind of got to be here, and I don't want to just. It's almost oversimplifying it by saying, it's urban versus rural, but it's kind of that. But it's a true, authentic hatred.
Man,
but Dave, you guys have basketball. You have the Kentucky Derby. I'm sorry, Ohio State and Michigan. They don't have anything else. I think there's a lot of other options for you.
Well, it's personal, McLovin. Can I just make this personal?
Sure.
For a while. I understand the big picture, but listen, on to something more serious, McLovin. I was listening the other morning, found it very interesting to hear you basically guarantee your Eagles trip back to the Super Bowl.
I know. How about that, Dave? You picked up on it. So did I. I'm going to emotionally hedge everything and nothing matters. Perloff basically penciled the Eagles into the Super Bowl.
Okay, I have done that, but as you'll find out later, they're going to lose to the Cowboys, and they'll probably lose to the Niners, but they are still going to the Super Bowl, Dave. Sorry.
What I really found interesting that you, of course, know very well that Madam Karma is usually listening in. These things, there's been several instances when they just don't work out. Example being, like the mayor of Cincinnati, a.k.a. Jabroni, dubbing Arrowhead Stadium as Burrowhead Stadium. How's it worked out for the Bengals since then?
Is that guy still the mayor, by the way? I mean, that's the kind of stuff that gets you kicked out of office. No, he still is? Okay. Dave, I think you're right. See, Perloff, I figured it out. Dave, you're great. Thank you. Have a great Thanksgiving. I figured out what you're doing here. Because you just said you think the Eagles are going to lose to Dallas and lose to the 49ers.
Yeah.
Okay. This is what Perloff's doing. Perloff has this thing where no team can ever beat a team twice.
Yeah. Oh, no, you definitely want to play very vanilla.
Right. So the only reason you're saying that is because you're anticipating that they'll lose to the Cowboys and the 49ers in the regular season and beat them in the playoffs.
I want the Eagles' road to the Super Bowl to go through Detroit. I want Dallas and San Francisco to beat each other up. I do not. My worst nightmare is losing to the Cowboys in the Super Bowl. I've mapped this all out.
Not the Super Bowl, in the NFC.
I mean, in the playoffs. By the way, we're doing picks later in the show, and I bet against the Eagles this week, and they won. I honestly, if I'm being honest, I think the Bills are going to beat the Eagles.
I don't want to hear this.
It's a short week for the Eagles. You saw a lot of flaws against Kansas City.
You won the game.
But you're so desperate, Buffalo team coming into Philly, that I am on a short week. I'm picking the Bills to beat the Eagles.
I can't with you right now. Let's do college football best rivalries. That's what we're doing. I can't do the Perloff Jedi mind tricks right now. Ryan is in Boise. Ryan, good morning. The best college football rivalry is what?
Good morning. I would say BYU Utah is pretty good.
Yep.
It brings in this religion aspect to it, where you got these people who are LDS and who aren't, and so it's not even just about football. It's we want to beat them just because they're the opposite.
It does make it very unique, Ryan, and thank you so much for pointing that out. It does add another element when it is called the Holy War.
I mean, where else can the quarterback be married to two of the cheerleaders? No, that's terrible.
Perla, you're going to get us canceled.
From the top rope. Frog splash. Oh, my goodness.
I've been to games in both Utah and BYU. They're the most beautiful stadiums in the country.
Good save. Good try. Nothing's going to get you out of that one.
We love you, Utah.
Yes, we do. Denise is in Erie, Pennsylvania. Good morning, Denise.
Hi there. You want to know what love is? Oh, my God. Such a wrong song. Dear Lord, I'm talking the backyard brawl, WVU versus Pitt.
I love this one, Denise. I love West Virginia Pitt. It's a shame, that it did go away for a while.
I think it did. Then it just came back after 13 years.
It went from 1895 to 2011, and then Big 12 came in, and we just started it back up. And it is awesome. Couches will be burning all over Morgantown.
Well, that's just a regular Saturday. But yeah, Denise, what side of this are you on?
I was born and raised in West Virginia.
Got it.
And went to WVU. And my niece went to Pitt. It took me a while to even talk to her anymore. So,
Glad to see you're not holding a grudge. I got a chance. No. I got a chance when I was early in my career. Denise, thank you. And I was doing play-by-play, and I got to call a West Virginia Georgetown women's basketball game at West Virginia, and as a small little hazing thing, very innocent hazing. No one told me about the Mountaineer shooting off the musket. I didn't know they did that for every sport. I thought maybe that was just a football
outdoor
thing.
Sport. Okay.
Yeah, they do it even for a women's basketball game Sunday at noon. And there were maybe 200 people in the stands. That shot rang out and echoed and reverberated in a way that still makes the hair on the back of my neck stand up. Let's get to Pete McCarthy. He's got headlines for us. Good morning, Pete. How are you?
I'm good. The Steelers yesterday becoming the latest team to make a change to their offense. They fired coordinator Matt Canada. Incredibly off-brand for the Steelers. It's the first time they make an in-season coaching change since 1941.
Wow.
We know all about the Steelers' stability there. Head coach Mike Tomlin explaining.
This is a result-oriented business, and to be short, the improvements were not rapid enough or consistent enough for us to proceed. You got to score touchdowns in this business. You got to win games in this business. And just the totality of it has us where we are today.
So Tomlin making the move, making the change, and then was asked what he wants to see going forward.
I just want to see points. I want to engineer victory more fluidly, and points do that.
Engineer victory more fluidly. I love Mike Tomlin.
Yeah, it's like he's got a thesaurus.
The goal to score more points than the opponent that's an admirable one for a coach. I like his strategy. I like where he's coming from.
Yeah.
If they actually did something on offense, that'd be better than what they're doing now.
Well, that's why they made the change. Matt Canada not engineering enough points.
To me, it comes down to whose fault is it, Matt Canada or Kenny Pickett, and we're going to find out now. I still maintain it's Matt Canada. I think a lot of people are down on Pickett now. Watch it. He's going to be electric. I'm expecting 173 yards passing against the Bengals in a 14-12 battle.
I know. What was Brady talking about with this mediocrity? I'll give you 172 yards passing.
If you had to say whose fault do you think
Monday night?
Whose fault do you think it'll be? Canada or Pickett?
I've liked Pickett, going back to Pitt. So I still think that Pickett's got something. I think if you can orchestrate a 2-minute drill, and I know that everyone can make a few plays. I think if you can do that, there's more here than we're seeing, right? Like if you can execute that way, I think that there's hope for you.
Yep. I hope so. They're my Super Bowl pick. Time to turn it around, baby.
And Tomlin was asked about developing Pickett down the stretch here the next few weeks. Another good quote. "We're not urinating on the fire, man. We're readying to play a football game this week." I don't really know what that means, but I like it.
Okay. Urinating on the fire is putting it out.
No, I think it's too slow to put it out.
Oh, okay.
I mean, not from experience.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Don't get me wrong. Well, actually, a campfire. Yeah, we've done that. There's a lot of advantages to being a male, Maggie.
Yeah, listen, I get it. I don't really, that's the one I least care about.
Oh, being able to pee in the woods at will?
To pee standing up. I'm over it at this point. It's just not going to happen.
I feel like there's a poison ivy risk when you're camping, though, as a woman.
This is why I stay inside. I stay indoors. I sleep indoors. Just not a big camper.
No camping. No reason to be camping.
No, thank you.
And, Bill Belichick, he'd be the other end of the spectrum, and he's refusing to share who will start at quarterback Sunday against the Giants.
One day at a time. Today's Tuesday.
So is it a competition this week, Bill? Like, our guys starting?
I told everybody to be ready to go.
But will your decision, whenever that happens, will be based on this week?
It'll be based on what I think's best for the team. And I've told everybody to be ready to go. Hopefully they will.
Are we taking bets? Like, who's the favorite to start at quarterback for the Pats this week?
Oh, my gosh. Does it matter?
Yes, it does. They have to go to Bailey Zappi. He is a better quarterback than Mac Jones.
I don't know how you can tell.
Bailey Zappi threw for 75 million yards, and so did Mac Jones, actually. But Bailey Zappi's, he's a decent to medium quarterback. He's going to be good, Maggie.
So if we're going to go on college success, Mac Jones might have been on one of the great Alabama teams. I mean, Bailey Zappi of Western Kentucky is
but Bailey Zappi was a fourth-round pick. It's not like he's a Mr. Irrelevant or an undrafted guy. I think he's got some zip.
15?
Yeah, I'm just saying that Bailey Zappi's not a nobody. I think he has some zip. Mac Jones has failed. He is not there. Watch out for Zappi this weekend. It's going to be electric.
I'm taking the underdog. I'm going to say Will Greer gets the nod.
I'd love to see Will Greer. He's one of my favorites, too.
Practice this week.
Yeah.
Yep.
Last week.
Maybe there's something there. I don't know how much it's going to matter for the Patriots because I'll tell you what, none of these three guys are going to be starting next year. And you've already benched Mac Jones twice, so you can't go back to him like next season. This is over.
Interesting draft battle here with the Giants and Pats. I think both fan bases have reason to want to lose.
They play each other later.
Yeah.
In the season. What else you got, Pete?
Yeah, well, the other trend that I think is kind of interesting, the NFL, you got to put on the injury report if a guy's a hangnail, but now we're like not naming starting quarterbacks. Remember, Jonathan Gannon did this with the Cardinals this year. Like if it's ostensibly for gambling reasons or whatever. It kind of matters who the starting quarterback is going to be. I mean, we just keep this stuff under wraps now to kick off.
I just love that for Belichick, he thinks it's a competitive advantage. It's like, dude, it's not going to help.
2-8.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
All right, Eagles-Chiefs, most watched Monday night game in 27 years. I know Perloff mentioned that earlier. That's 1996. It was Brett Favre's Packers versus Troy Aikman's Cowboys.
Ooh. Good matchup.
The other fun stat, 29 million viewers, more than 3 times the audience for Game 1 of this year's World Series. For a Monday Night Football
Pete,
game.
that's got to hurt. You're such a big baseball guy. That's got to be painful.
Yeah, well, it's been the trend for a while. I have some baseball news. Do we want baseball news? I don't think so,
Is
right?
Shohei?
Mike Schilt, household name, new manager of the Padres? No?
Hooray.
Brett Ausmus, bench coach, Yankees?
Where's Juan Soto going? That's the Padres.
Where's
news.
Shohei
Kyle
going?
Gibson, Cardinals?
Give me some Yamamoto updates, Pete, if you got them.
They can talk to him now, so he's got a 45-day negotiating window, so we'll know a little after New Year's Day where he's going. The baseball offseason just drags on forever. Nothing happens.
Can I ask a question about this whole situation with Mike Schilt? Which
Yeah.
I'll bet you didn't know his situation. So Bob Melvin's leaving the Padres to go to the Giants. What happened there?
the Padres like wildly underachieved this year.
So did they fire him, or then the Giants are hiring him?
It was like, please, you want to get another job?
The Giants
Go ahead.
requested.
Yeah.
But aren't the Giants by
interview Melvin.
tenfold?
Padres said sure.
Are they the superior? Are they known as a smarter team than the Padres? So if the Giants want this guy, I wonder why the Padres were letting him out the door.
I'm sorry. Forgive me. This is riveting conversation. I just went back to the box score of that Packers-Cowboys game from 1995. This looks like it was October 8th. You guys want to know some totals here?
Let's hit them.
Yeah,
okay.
Let's get it.
You had Brett Favre was 21 for 41, 295 yards passing with a touchdown and an interception. And 2 rushing touchdowns in that game for Brett Favre. And you had Troy Aikman, 24 for 31 for 316, 2 touchdowns, no picks, and no rushing touchdowns because it was Troy Aikman. Let's see. Reggie White had a sack in this game. Trying to think of any other notable things that happened.
How did Playmaker play?
A lot of Hall of Famers.
In terms of kick and punt returns?
No, Michael Irvin. How did they call him the
for a second,
Playmaker?
I was thinking about Deion for a second. I was not on the team. Hold on one second. Michael Irvin. He had 13 targets, 8 receptions, 150 yards, and a touchdown. His longest was a 48-yard reception.
Miami guy.
Dog.
Absolute dog.
Jay Novacek also scored a touchdown in this game.
Cat?
Good name.
Let's
Back
see.
when football was football, right, Tom Brady?
I know.
Back
Tom
when
Brady
men were men.
would have loved this game. For the Packers, the one receiving touchdown, Mark Chimura.
Really good player.
Yeah, that's
underrated.
Also great, like when you're talking about old football players' names, like from the past.
Definitely.
Yeah, like Biaka Batuka and Chimura, the 2 guys everyone brings up. Pete, what else you got?
Yeah, that's what we're looking at
All right,
here.
Mike Schill,
Yeah.
got it.
Mike
Congrats. All right. Very cool. Thank you, Pete McCarthy. We'll talk to you again next hour. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Today is all about the best college football rivalry of all time. Give us a call. What do you think? We're taking your phone calls next. It's Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Love songs today. Carlos and EJ now doing the Saturday Night Fever dance. The themes is love songs on our rejoin music, but the theme is actually rivalries. It's just maybe the exact opposite of a love song. We've been asking for the greatest college football rivalries of all time. Before we get back to your phone calls, let's hit our Daily Dion.
Daily. Do you believe that? Dion. You believe that?
Well, Dion said some very interesting things about the future of Colorado recruiting. We put that on the back burner for a moment because Dion also made this admission that he believed a famous landmark was very far away from where it actually is.
My expectations are out of the darn park. You got to understand, man. I mean, come on, man. Yeah. What's those little four heads that's in California? What do they call those? The people faces engraved? Yeah. Come on, man. I set up there. It's in where? South Dakota. I thought it was in LA all this time. Wow, my geography. That's the Hollywood thing? That's what I thought. I'm sorry. Thank you for educating me.
Amazing. For a second, I thought, is there like a Universal Studios tour where you see like a mini Mount Rushmore and maybe that's what he thought it was, or like Disney World? He thought the Hollywood sign was Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, I guess that's what he was thinking of.
He meant the other Rushmore, like Reagan and like Carter on it.
Schwarzenegger's on there. He was never president, but he's on there.
Was it, Dion, how many times has he been in L.A.?
I'm assuming he lived there probably when he was on NFL Network.
Right, yeah.
Great point. Yeah, so it's one of those things where you don't do the local tourist attractions if you live there. Wouldn't he have seen it?
I don't know. I don't know.
He's just vamping up there. I love it.
He's in a much better mood than he was on Sunday. I mean, we played the sound from Sunday, or Saturday rather, and he was like, he's sick. He was depressed.
Cold.
He said it was the worst time of his life. Here he's like, I'm on Mount Rushmore, baby. Send me to Hollywood. I mean, L.A. I mean, wait, it's not in L.A.? What?
I mean, send me to South Dakota immediately. I'm trying to think if I ever had something where I thought something was in one place and it was actually in another. I mean, when I was really young, I thought the Washington football team was in the state of Washington. But that was like when I was like 7, I think.
Oh, yeah, there's that. There was the... No, it's funny because I'm a Miami Hurricane fan, but there was the Miami of Ohio.
Oh, right.
Me being confused that are there 2 Miami universities? I was confused by that. Then there was just an LA thing. Is very in local, but like I thought when I went to LA, I thought the beach was very close to the city, and I tried to get to Santa Monica. Let's just say that was a quite a trip.
Yeah, I hope during rush hour. Forget
yeah.
It.
Oh yeah.
Still be there.
Yeah.
Okay, more from Deion Sanders. Less geography lessons. Thank God. More where he was asked a question about recruits flipping their recruits, where they just had an offensive lineman who flipped. And as part of the answer, he said that Colorado's not just going to be an ATM here. You got to come here because you want to be here.
We're not an ATM. That's not going to happen here. If you come to Colorado to play football for me and the Colorado Buffaloes because you really want to play football and receive a wonderful education, and all the business stuff is going to be handled on the back end if that's the case. But we are not an ATM. You're not coming here to get rich unless you really come here with a plan to go to the NFL and get your degree.
Wild. Who's that remind you of? Who else said that they are not going to buy players?
His old buddy, Nick Saban.
Nick Saban. Deion taking a Nick Saban page because ironically, you know that Deion's going to pay players like crazy this offseason. They're going to totally raid the transfer portal. So I think this is a bit of bluster, to be honest. I think, first of all, you are going to get a ton of NIL there. I think this idea that Colorado's not paying players, to me, I'm like, oh, I don't even believe Deion here.
Well, okay, everyone's paying players now because the NIL, right? So it's the collective is paying the players in a way that's not supposed to operate like a salary cap, but it kind of does, right? You kind of use whatever money you have, and that's how you recruit players. It's supposed to be for name, image, and likeness, but we kind of understand what's going on here. So for me, this sounds out of touch for Deion. You know, you had a recruit who flipped, well, and I'm assuming he said, we're not an ATM, like the player asked for more money, and they said no. And then he flipped to Mizzou. So this is what it is now. And the irony is you're telling me that if Deion Sanders was of college age and his recruit was up for free agency, you're not telling me that he wouldn't go to the place giving him the most money. The only reason I say that is because that's how Deion operated as a pro, where he was always the mercenary, right? My services are always for sale. Yep. And he was a trailblazer in a lot of ways, you know, and guys like Darrelle Revis went on to kind of perfect it in a way. So to me, it sounds out of touch and disingenuous.
I would not bet against Deion's recruiting skills here. I think he's going to kill this offseason because of all the attention they got. He's really the only coach who can guarantee big time NIL. He got so many ads for his players. I think
mostly for Shador.
No, but he got his running back an ad. I saw there was I think a kicker got an ad, the Almonds ad. A lot of guys are getting a lot of publicity because of Deion. I think players want that because it's not just the collectives. There also is marketing money to be had.
There definitely is, but I think Deion's celebrity is only going to go so far as he continues on, right? Because as he continues to be a coach, you're going to go through all the things that coaches go through, like a lot of losing right now for Colorado.
Right, but you're guaranteed big time next year. I think this year, unfortunately, they were too late to schedule Colorado into big windows, but they're just going to get better as a team as he's able to build his team. And I think they're going to have all big time spotlights next year. I think every game they play is going to be in prime time.
Well, it might be, but if I'm like recruiting against, let's say, like a Texas A&M, who you might not be getting a national KFC commercial, but you're getting money.
Well, also, too, what are we talking about? Are we talking about recruiting or are we talking about transfer portal? Because he's said, I don't really care about recruiting. I care about the transfer portal. And I do think a lot of those players are going to be, he might lose an 18-year-old to Texas A&M, but I think where he's going to get these experienced transfer portal guys, and he's still going to pay. I mean, do you really think
Well,
Deion?
you have to at this day and age. You'll be left in the dust.
I think you could get a lot of marketing money. I think this is all working out well for Deion.
Let's go to the phones. We've been asking the greatest college football rivalry of all time. Jesse is in Oregon. I have a feeling I know where you're going with this, Jesse. Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, I think you do. Yeah, it's got to be the Civil War game, especially this year, being that it's the last time that it'll actually be a legitimate Civil War game. And the fact that if the Ducks don't win, they're out of the playoff picture.
So much is on this game, Jesse. You're right. And the same for Washington to Washington State, too. You know, you're going to have, with Washington and Oregon moving on to the Big Ten, along with USC and UCLA. Thank you for the phone call. These rivalries are going to get very much diluted.
Yeah, I mean, this is time of year where funny things happen in college football, right? Teams on the road. This is where the Pac-12 usually shoots itself in the foot and somebody loses. Remember USC, Utah last year. Yep. So I expect either Oregon or Washington to lose this week. And then whoever loses this week will win next week and keep the Pac-12 out of the last Final Four. Because that's the way the Pac-12 has always done it, and it'd be a great final season for them. Although we have the Pac-2 next year.
That is true. We get the Tupac. Oregon and Washington, though, this year, both the home team.
Yeah.
So maybe that helps out a little bit with Washington staying undefeated and Oregon sticking at one loss and setting up this big Pac-12
But
title.
does a deep incompetence of the Pac-12 at the end of the day, isn't that what really matters here?
Oh, jeez.
I mean, you know what I'm talking about.
212-4CBS. Hey, Perloff's going against the grain. Coming up, also more of your phone calls. The greatest college football rivalry of all time. We want to hear from you. 855-212-4CBS. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
I don't think there's a read with these. I didn't see that. Yeah.
45 seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
She can put away a large pizza by herself. He's allergic to cheese. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
And on this Thanksgiving Eve, hope if you're traveling, you're staying safe. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. It is Maggie and Perloff, the new morning show on CBS Sports Radio. The big circled game for this weekend, Perloff, is really not from the NFL, although we do have some good matchups. It is college football with, it almost feels like a culmination of the Michigan sign-stealing scandal in a lot of ways, because Jim Harbaugh is not going to be on the sidelines for this game. It is the biggest or one of the biggest college football rivalries that we have. And who knows what the NCAA is going to come down with in terms of punishment. That could happen years down the line if we know the NCAA like we think we do. This sort of feels like everything's on the line. You know, what were the Michigan Wolverines getting signs and getting to the tune of beating Ohio State the last 2 years? Did that factor in? Will it matter that Harbaugh's not on the sideline? Like, all of it comes down to this game.
Yeah, I mean, it's been really the first half of the season was Deion Sanders stole all the spotlight. The second half has been Michigan. You know, it's interesting too. I have a feeling this game is going to be a little bit of a letdown because of everything you just described and the style play.
Yeah.
Ohio State is not Ohio State. They're not throwing the ball all over the rock with Kyle McCord. They're not throwing the rock all over the field.
Yeah.
They don't have C.J. Stroud. They don't have Dwayne Haskins. They have Kyle McCord. And Michigan, how many runs in a row did they have the other day?
Like 35.
Yes. So, Michigan, they want to slow it down. So we have all this hype coming into it. Then it's going to be a real old-fashioned battle, which is kind of cool as a football fan. But I'd be surprised if we walk away with this game entertained. I think we're going to walk away with this game saying somebody lost more than somebody won.
Oh, that's
We're going to be
interesting.
killing somebody after this game. Don't you have that feeling that Monday we're going to come and say, oh, man, so-and-so really screwed this up or blew it?
Well, it's going to be hard to do that because if it's Jim Harbaugh, he's not there. So if it's a screw up on the Michigan side, I mean, who do you get mad at? Sharon Moore? Like, you're going to have so many excuses if you're Michigan if you lose. I mean, for Ryan Day, he'll be probably feeling like he's on the hot seat, which is insane because he's been an excellent coach. However, he's 0-2 in his last two against.
I know what you're saying. People say that. I can't imagine this guy would be on the hot seat. First of all, this is probably the only time he'll ever be an underdog against Michigan. This is the one, if Jim Harbaugh was there, this would be the one game he could lose. And I think people wouldn't kill him because it's a bit of again, I keep saying the defense is really good and you have Marvin Harrison Jr., but they have all the top recruits coming in. They're going to be back to the electric Ohio State at some point soon. This is doesn't feel to me like this is their year, which means, of course, what? They're going to win the national title.
Maybe, I mean.
But it doesn't feel like they're the same Ohio State. Last year, Ohio State really had pressure to win. They had a great quarterback.
Yeah.
Everything was going their way. I thought Ohio State fans were heartbroken after that loss, and they happened to sneak into the Final Four and salvage a little bit of pride. But to me, last year would be a bigger disappointment than whatever happens this year.
Yeah, but did Michigan have the signs last year? You know, like all of this stuff is now in the ether for this game, which just makes it even bigger. And there were rumors and reports, a couple of weeks ago. It's hard to keep track with all this Michigan, scandal stuff that it was Ohio State that hired the private investigator to try to get the dirt on Connor Stalions.
No doubt.
Yeah, that's kind of been maybe debunked a little bit, but that adds fuel to the flames as well.
But what signs do you need? My recollection of the last 2 years is basically Michigan hands the ball off. They run right down the middle against Ohio State, who can't tackle their running backs. It doesn't seem like there's
stopping C.J. Stroud and the fact that he had such an outlier game.
But even so, I think a great running game on Michigan's part kind of stopped C.J. Stroud. And C.J. Stroud had open guys. He was just a little off in that game. I personally do not think the sign stealing is that significant on the field. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know what it is, but Michigan's clear advantage is they've been beating them up front.
No doubt. You have two really good defenses here, two offensive lines that maybe a little bit, shaky in terms of the pass protection. Obviously, we know they can run block for sure. I mean, maybe the equalizer, or not the equalizer, maybe the advantage for Ohio State, because it's not at quarterback, but maybe the advantage is Marvin Harrison Jr. You get a couple electric and explosive plays, just a couple, 1, 2, that could be the difference. And we've seen that it was really the difference in the game where Ohio State beat Penn State. So I think this could still be good. Is it going to be high scoring? I'm not really expecting that. I don't know what the total is for the game. But
Ohio State beat Penn State 20-12.
Yeah.
This Ohio State, 20 points. And they beat Notre Dame, something similar.
Yep.
I don't think that's going to work against Michigan. I think Michigan's a completely different caliber team. The problem is, can they tackle Michigan? I would hope with Sharon Moore calling the plays, I think Jim Harbaugh doesn't want him doing anything very fancy, right? That's why the handoffs were happening. They're going to limit J.J. McCarthy. I think Harbaugh is saying, hey, listen, we're going to have to beat them up because I can't give any of my strategy during the game. So he's going to say, just hand it off. Keep handing it off.
Okay, so that's a question, right? About can he give any strategy during the game? The suspension says that he can't be in the facility, right? So he can't be at the big house during the game. Can you make a call at halftime? I mean, you're not supposed to have cell phones on the sideline,
But
right?
what's he going to say that's so significant? Just stop throwing the ball like he did the other day?
Yeah, I mean, anything. Just say anything might be significant. I don't know if he could get on the phone with one of his players. Like, say he sees something in McCarthy, a hitch, something. I don't know.
Oh, my gosh.
Is this possible?
I think this isn't a movie. You think an NFL head coach is actually sitting there? They do not coach like that on game day, in my opinion.
It might be a little bit of an unfair advantage if that's the case, because I'm assuming maybe forget about strategy per se, but maybe he's listening to the broadcast or even sees sideline reports saying, hey, McCord, his knees bother him a little bit, something that maybe on the sidelines you wouldn't pick up.
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming that these football staffs have 1 million coaches on the sideline.
Right.
Someone's watching the broadcast for that.
Yeah.
Like one of the 1,000 assistant coaches is just watching the broadcast to try to get intel on the other team.
I'm so shocked when there's a sideline report where they come out of half and say something like, wow, that sounds like good strategy. I assume they're lying, right?
Carissa
They're playing
Thompson style, or?
No, I mean, I assume the coach who says, oh, we need to get this the tight end more involved in the game plan. I assume that's a flat out lie, because why would they know someone's watching on TV, so they're not giving any real information.
No, I'm saying, is it more like, you get used to a certain voice in your ear is what I'm saying. And football players and sometimes athletes in general, we know athletes can be real creatures of habit. And sometimes a coach can say something in a way that gets through to a guy that maybe then someone else. I'm talking just about communication.
But I think Jim Harbaugh and the head coach, they don't have time to individually engage players. Because they're watching both sides of the ball.
I know, but Harbaugh's definitely talking to J.J. McCarthy during the game.
Yeah,
he's got to be.
But I don't think he's. I'm not sure how much he's actually doing with J.J. McCarthy. I mean, maybe I'd have to watch solidly. Andy Reid doesn't even watch the defense play. He goes and sits with the quarterback often.
Right.
But
so if Andy Reid were suspended for this game.
Yeah, but Andy Reid's the play caller, basically.
Okay, but if he saw something with Patrick Mahomes and he isn't there on the sideline, you don't think he'd try to call at halftime or get a message to somebody?
I think he would, but I don't think that it's a Disney movie where he notices somebody's giving away something or that. I think it's more just calling Sharon Moore, hey, Sharon, run the ball, as EJ said. Because I don't think that he's going to have faith to run a full J.J. McCarthy attack here because he's not there. I think that is going to define the game in a way. They're going to be really conservative.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. We've been asking you about in your opinion, the biggest college football rivalry that we have. Perloff went with
the actual greatest rivalry, Michigan-Ohio State.
I went with Alabama and Auburn as an in-state rival in the SEC. you have to live and work and breathe and go to church next to people from all, from both universities. So it's not Ohio State and Michigan. Everyone can go to their corners for 52 weeks out of the year. You've got to be in close contact with your rival at all times. EJ?
I went with the iconic venue, great fried food at the State Fair. I went with the Red River rivalry, Texas OU, split stadium, burnt orange on one side, crimson on the other. A lot of amazing games, some great players on both sides. This, to me, is a no-brainer.
And Carlos, pardon me, you went with who?
I went with America, Army versus Navy.
And, of course, Carlos active duty, and we thank you for your service.
There's a poll, by the way. Who's winning there, EJ?
Oh, God, he knows. He knows the
He
results
only
here.
asks for the results when he's
Thank you guys for the layup
This is the
today.
first time, I think, since I've been here that he's asked for the results, because normally he hates our polls. So what is the greatest football rivalry? We asked the question. At 54%, we have Ohio State, Michigan. Army, Navy's at 30%. Auburn, Alabama is at 10%. And Texas, Oklahoma at 5%.
See, I think EJ's is like Texas, Oklahoma was a couple weeks ago. It was like a month ago.
Yeah.
This is the recency bias here.
Absolutely.
Perloff's got the scandal and the game. Well, obviously all the other rivalry games are soon, but I think EJ, I think yours, because it happened so early in the season.
No, there's a reason it happened early in the season, because it's not one of the iconic rivalries, so you don't put it on Thanksgiving weekend.
Break. Florida State, Miami's not in the middle end of the season. There's plenty of
Texas
great
A&M
rivalries.
used to play on Thanksgiving. That's all I'm saying.
Rick is in Myrtle Beach, has got one for us. Good morning, Rick. How you doing?
Good morning. Happy Thanksgiving. Thanks for taking my call.
Same to you.
University of South Carolina versus Clemson. Big rivalry. But people forget that Coastal Carolina used to be part of the University of South Carolina. So that's almost like two schools against one.
Wait. Is that true?
Yeah.
Coastal Carolina used to be, and so that's a newer college that they broke off and created a football team with Grayson McCall?
It was like a branch of USC.
Got it.
Yep.
And what is their nickname?
Well, they were the Chanticleers.
I love that name.
Yeah.
My
Wait,
favorite.
so
Yep.
Rick, what do you think makes this particular rivalry special? It's obviously another in-state rivalry, which I love. What about it makes the Palmetto special?
Well, either I'm a transplant. I'm from Chicago. Go Cubs. But my oldest daughter went to USC.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone seems to. It's either Clemson or USC, and there's nothing in between.
Yep. I've heard that, Rick. Thank you so much for the call. Have a great holiday. It's just you're one or the other. You know?
Yeah, I feel
think
like
I like this about Auburn, Alabama, too.
I feel like I think it's similar to Auburn, Alabama, and Clemson's just a much smaller school, and it's a private school, I believe. And I mean, the state school is really South Carolina, which is ironic because Clemson has been killing them. Will it last next year when Dabo's gone, though?
Where's Dabo going?
I don't know. He was running awfully fast the other day. I think that's watch out for Dabo, right? It feels like he is in the midst of a messy divorce with that college.
Oh, because people
Because
keep
he
calling into the coach's show and asking him why he's not in the transfer portal?
Doesn't it feel to you guys like something's happening with Dabo, that he's just getting more ornery and ornery by the week?
Well, definitely. But the only is his dream job or the place he wants to go next, is it going to be open? Like, are you thinking he takes Texas A&M? Like, what are you positing here?
I don't know. I just think that Dabo is going to really start looking around.
Okay.
He would never talk like this. And also, where's Clemson going? I mean,
It wasn't long ago they were going to the national championship game.
Yeah,
and
I
winning.
know. But have you seen, since Trevor Lawrence and Deshaun Watson left, have they even sniffed the playoff? No. So they're headed the wrong direction.
If they got into the portal and got some more wide receivers, do you think this would be different?
No, well, first of all, they're not going to do that. Dabo just is not interested. I don't know.
Isn't that now going to hurt you no matter what job you take? Like,
Yeah.
you're going to have the fans frustrated for the same reason no matter what.
Also, would that quarterback stay there? You know, I have a feeling that every quarterback is going to transfer this summer. I think that's the new thing. Like, you want to cut a new NIL deal at a new college. So Cade Klubnik's probably going to leave. I just see this Clemson school headed the wrong direction. And Dabo is, why else would you yell at fans unless you wanted to leave, right?
Or you think you're just above it. Like, you know, you're so untouchable, you're so entrenched, you're so Teflon that you can yell at whoever you want and nothing's going to happen to you. Hung is our pal in Harrisburg. Good morning, Hung.
Good morning. Good morning. The last caller beat me on the Clemson and South Carolina rivalry. You guys got to understand that Clemson beat Notre Dame, and Clemson is very underrated. Right now, Clemson, I'm telling you, you put the Clemson against Ohio, Michigan, or Georgia, or Alabama, Clemson going to beat any team out there, any given time, any given day. It's very underrated, Clemson. I'm telling you right now, the record don't mean nothing. Clemson is number one, in my opinion. That's my team all time.
Wow.
Wait, how,
you think
you're
they're
a
number
Clemson
one in
fan?
the country?
Yeah, the rivalry between Carolina and Clemson. I'm telling Clemson is number one. Look like how they beat the North Carolina last week. They beat them badly.
Yeah.
And they beat Notre Dame badly. And Notre Dame almost beat the Ohio. Ohio overrated. Michigan overrated. I think, in my opinion, Big Ten is overrated. At EC and ACC and Pac-12 are underrated. I think your Oregon team is underrated, in my opinion. I think they should be number one.
Hung, we love it. Coming in strong with the college football takes. Have a great holiday. Clemson is underrated. Listen, it was a big win over North Carolina, but I feel like the star has kind of faded a bit on the Tar Heels.
Clemson's looked pretty good the last couple weeks. I will give you that, but obviously they have 4 losses.
And you think Dabo's out the door. 855-212-4CBS.
I would watch this offseason. I think it's going to be really interesting. I don't know what vacancies there are. I mean, A&M, it doesn't feel like he's a fit with A&M, but you never know. I think you did bring up a good point. He might be waiting for Alabama, but still, will Alabama want him if he doesn't contend for a national title?
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. So keep it coming with the greatest college football rivalry in the country. Coming up, Perloff goes against the grain, taking a shot at the NFL. We'll let you know next. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining.
So this one will be for
15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. I don't know. This is a romantic theme music choices by Carlos here today. Is this a romantic song? It's more of a,
Oh, she wants some dance with somebody that loves
Why
her.
did you do the one from the movie? Where Whitney
I Will
sings to
Always
Kevin
Love You.
I Will Always Love You.
Yeah.
I wanted to go more upbeat. People are awake now. We're out and about.
Yeah, I do like this song. I'm a big Whitney fan. Great documentary. Okay. You know what time it is, Maggie. I haven't done it in a little while, but we're entering a big week in the NFL, a long week in the NFL. So I think to prep us, let's go a little against the grain.
Against the grain.
So the numbers are in. 273 million people tuned into the Chiefs-Eagles game to see the MVP,
Wow.
MVP co-favorites, Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts, go at it, and Eagles won, of course. I have bad news for Eagles fans and Chiefs fans that Jalen Hurts and Patrick Mahomes are not going to win the MVP.
What?
And you know who else is not? The number 2 in odds right now, Lamar Jackson. It's a 2-man battle for the MVP right now, and people are not projecting enough to realize who it is. It is my guy Brock Purdy and my guy Dak Prescott are actually battling for it because San Francisco and Dallas are about to go on a roll. San Francisco's healthy. They play mostly easy schedules. They both have the Eagles. And Dallas is really healthy as well. CeeDee Lamb's playing on Thursday. They are going to roll against easy teams. There's a lot of Washington, a lot of easy defenses. I think at the end of the day, the stats are going to be so much better because you watch Mahomes and Jalen Hurts.
Mm-hmm.
Those are not electric offenses right now. Hurts threw for 150 yards in the rain, and Mahomes can't score in the second half. How are those guys going to be MVPs? So I know what you're thinking, Maggie, because I know how you think.
Yeah.
Well, what about Lamar Jackson?
Yeah.
Well, the Ravens also have a tough schedule. I don't know how Lamar Jackson's going to get his numbers against these AFC North teams. So this is a numbers award, isn't it? Brock Purdy is dominating every possible statistical category. He's first in league in passer rating, first in completion percentage, first in TDs per attempt, first in yards per attempt, first in yards per completion. Dak Prescott's not far behind. And guess what? Dak's going to have 4 touchdowns this weekend against Washington. Washington has given up on the season.
Maybe.
He is going to be a stats machine. So at the end of the day, I think San Francisco and Dallas are both going to have gaudy records, 12-5, 13-4, and they're going to be the number 1 and number 2 statistical quarterbacks. To me, that says MVP. Jalen Hurts is just not going to get enough numbers. Lamar Jackson is going to be in so many battles coming up here for the Ravens. And Mahomes, I don't know what's going on there. Nobody can catch the football. So I think people are sleeping on these 2 guys.
Wow.
Did you buy it?
Kinda. I do. Now, I don't think Purdy is like a real MVP candidate because I think he's more a product of the team around him. Now, I get accused here of having a draft bias or whatever. I'm just watching the games. Now,
You saw the game. He was running around like crazy the other day. He was making the plays himself.
They were playing the Bucks.
Yeah.
I mean, again, this is my thing about Dak and also Purdy is the stat padding against bad teams, and I do think that's gonna matter.
But he killed the Jaguars in Jacksonville, destroyed them.
That's true. That's a signature win, if you will. You're gonna have a couple.
We don't quite know how good the Jags are. It's a little confusing.
Yeah, they rebounded nicely against the Titans, but the Titans could be the worst, one of the worst teams in the NFL. We don't know.
But
So-
I think San Francisco gets the easier half of their schedule, and they're all healthy. When you get Debo, Ayuk, Kittle, and McCaffrey all on the same field, they have great numbers. Now, I'm actually helping your argument.
Yeah,
I don't think
it's all
voters.
about those guys.
I don't think voters are going to distinguish that. And the same thing with Dak Prescott. I think CeeDee Lamb is really the key to that offense, but they're just going to see the quarterback with the 40 touchdowns and give him the MVP.
See, I think Lamar is going to get credit if he keeps playing the way he's playing, which is passing the ball a lot more. I think Lamar will get credit for like adapting to a new system, changing the way he plays, and if they end up winning that division by a lot, even if the win total is not as big as San Francisco or Dallas, I could see them giving to Lamar. I think
I see that's a narrative.
I think the empty calories with Dak and the bad loss to the 49ers, which I know is a long time ago now, but it's still there, and that was a shellacking. And I think for Brock Purdy, I think you're looking at all these other playmakers and saying, what if he was on the Ravens? Would we be talking about him? I don't think so.
I understand Lamar Jackson is maybe throwing a little bit more, but he's not really. He's not even in the top 15 passers in the league. So you can't tell me. If the argument is Lamar Jackson's throwing it everywhere, that's just not true. He ranks right now, he is, hold please, Vamp. Yeah, he's way down. He's now number 11 in passing yards. So that's not exactly big time. But he's going to have 1,500 yards less than both Prescott and Purdy.
Okay, but you think that, Patrick Mahomes' receivers are dropping balls. I mean, how many drop balls do the Ravens receivers have?
Your level of nuance does not match the voters at the end of the day. I completely agree. I think Lamar is playing incredible football, but unfortunately for Lamar, he's going to be in some real battles against good defenses where that's not really going to be the case for Dak and Purdy.
So if it comes down to Dak and Purdy, who do you think gets it? I think they'll give it to Dak.
I think Purdy's going to make a crazy good case now.
Listen,
I think a narrative where I agree with you. I'll give it to Dak because they ripped on Dak so badly this offseason, completely unfairly, that I think everybody's going to feel bad about that and give it to Dak.
There's one other part, though, which is giving the MVP to somebody who has no postseason success. Now, they did it with Lamar, but he was also having an epic record-breaking season and, crazy the way he was running the ball.
But also Lamar already got one. So I think that he has to be way above to get another one because they're going to want to see him win a Super or get to a Super Bowl before they give him another. I mean, listen, but look at the Cowboys schedule. Commanders, Seahawks can't stop anybody right now. The Eagles, who he owns, your Bills, that's a tough one. Then the Dolphins and the Lions. And the Lions are one of the worst pass defenses in the league. He could have some huge numbers.
Yeah, same with San Francisco. Don't they play Seattle? Well, obviously tomorrow and then in 2 weeks.
So really, it's kind of weak, but this is a function of the schedule. I'm saying that Purdy and Dak, who are 5th and 6th in odds, are going to move way up before the season's over.
Put that bet in. 855-212-4CBS. We've been asking for the greatest college football rivalry. Dana is in Great Falls, Montana, with a different spin. Good morning, Dana.
Good morning, Maggie and Perloff. I love the show.
Thank you.
And I wanted to give a shout out for my favorite, which is Montana versus Montana State. They just had Brawl of the Wild last Saturday, and Montana crushed Montana State 37-7.
Wow.
Which is good for me because I'm a graduate of Montana, but I also root for both teams when they're not playing each other. But it's a great brawl, and I just think they need to have some coverage on CBS Sports.
We love it. Dana, noted, your president accounted for, and congrats to your Montana Grizzlies, right?
I can't remember. Yeah. One's the Bobcats, one's the Grizzlies,
I think it's the
right?
Grizzlies are Montana. Thank you so much, and have yourself a fantastic Thanksgiving.
Our buddy Ryan Leaf loves that rivalry. He's, I think, one of the only 2 or 3 NFL players from Montana ever, and to him, the Brawl of the Wild is as good as it gets.
Well, also for Pete McCarthy, who's got headlines for us. Pete, big Montana guy, how you doing this morning?
Oh, huge Montana guy. I've never been there.
Wait, why? You were just kidding?
Well, maybe. I mean,
throwing a Hail Mary there?
Listen, Pete told us earlier he went to Hofstra. He's a big Mets fan that I know, so sure.
Hofstra football played Montana. I learned about Moose Drool, but I didn't do the game in person.
What do you got for us for headlines, Pete?
That's my Montana story. Well, I was thinking about Thanksgiving. We got 3 NFL games tomorrow and some of our shared traditions. You guys were talking a little bit about Brock Purdy. We'll see him tomorrow night against the Seattle Seahawks at that perfect QB rating on Sunday. And Purdy giving some credit to his main man, Brandon Ayuk.
You watch the film, the separation that he creates. You get the ball in his hands, obviously, the second gear that he has to pull away from DBs or whoever's on the field.
156 yards for Ayuk this past week as the 49ers trying to get everything in gear. So 49ers-Seahawks, kind of a newer rivalry, will be at the end of the day. Now, right square in the middle there, it's always the Cowboys, and they'll be taking on the Commanders. Not an ideal matchup, right? The Commanders coming off losing to Tommy DeVito and the Giants last week. And Commanders head coach Ron Rivera focusing on the history between these teams.
Our guys know what's at stake. You know what the opportunity is. You know who your opponent is. They're playing in one of the greatest football rivalries, period. And so, they should understand. And if they don't know it now, I think they'll learn.
Game that excites you for tomorrow. We'll get to the Lions in a second here. Those out of those two.
Well, honestly, it's funny to me that all the spreads are so big for Thursday. I think everyone's going to watch Washington, Dallas. My only question out of that game is Ron Rivera. If he gets blown out, is that it for him?
Well, so if you're not going to fire somebody 2-3 days before Thanksgiving, are you going to fire somebody on Thanksgiving?
Well, fire
definitely not.
Monday.
Or Monday, I don't know.
Monday? I think Monday after Thanksgiving, you're safe, right? All the turkey is digested, the cranberry's been put away.
It's not a grace period after the holiday?
I don't know. Is there a post-Thanksgiving safety? The Seattle-San Francisco game, again, this for me, I'm watching for one thing. This Brock Purdy is going to eat in this game because for some reason, I can't figure it out. Seattle's defense seems very vulnerable right now.
Yeah, but it's not like the Rams took huge advantage. What was the final score on that game? 17-16 or whatever last week?
Yeah, but the Rams they're on fumes. Cooper Kupp got hurt 3 plays into the game, and Matthew Stafford looks like he's about to expire.
Yeah. Oh, gosh.
Maybe a better word.
I think that Dallas and Washington, I agree with Rivera. The history, historically, this is a good rivalry. It's just, what have you done for me lately? Not a lot.
Wait, can you give us the first game as a choice too?
Oh, yeah, I could give you that. I just did it backwards because you were talking about Purdy before. But by the way, one key number with Rivera, if they lose, the Commanders lose to Dallas tomorrow, 0-5 in the division will be the case for Washington. Obviously,
that's not good.
Ownership there, that doesn't bode well. And then, yes, you got the early game, which is always kind of like a throwaway, it seems like, for so many decades. But now it's the 8-2 Lions hosting the Packers. And Jared Goff likes leading off the day.
I always say it's fun because we're the first game. The later game, you get to miss Thanksgiving dinner. That wouldn't be fun. But we're the first game, so we get to eat later that night and get to play in front of the whole country and while everyone's with their family enjoying some time, and it's fun.
Totally.
I feel like I was always in the I feel like I was always in the car during the Lions game, and that a lot of points were scored against them on the way to wherever I was going.
And oftentimes a random quarterback. It's like, thank you,
Tim Boyle,
David Blau. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, actually it was Blau who played, not Boyle.
It might as well have been. I like that mentality. I think maybe because you and I are doing a morning show now, I get it. It's cool. You get up early, you go to work, you get it done, and then you got the rest of the day. I'm with Goff on this one.
Okay, I think Tim Boyle did. Yeah, he played in a Thanksgiving game when he was with the Lions.
What was his line?
Not good.
Surprise.
The Packers, can we talk about the fact that my favorite player in the league now, Dontavian Wicks, who I'd never heard of until he looked so good against the Chargers, he's not playing on Thursday? What's up with that? Concussion protocol, and you can't really get off a concussion protocol by a Thursday game. No Aaron Jones. So I'm a little worried that this game is not going to be what it should.
Well,
because
if that's the one thing that's going to make this not a game.
Well, what's a competitive game here on Thursday? We need a close game, and none of them are really setting up to be. At least if Vegas is saying they're not going to be.
Yeah,
Wait,
there's
we're worried
big
about
spreads.
the Lions being too good?
I think so.
It's a switch.
I kind of think so. Yeah, I know. It's ironic.
I like this. Lions head coach Dan Campbell gave his biggest, hottest Thanksgiving food take on 97.1 The Ticket in Detroit.
That's a good story. What'd he say?
This is actually I'm so curious because Dan Campbell famously said he likes to eat kneecaps. So what kind of a hot take did he have about food? I hope we didn't lose Pete. Totally.
So that didn't go through. Okay.
No, it sure didn't.
I'll try to. Yes. Okay. I'll try to reload it and get that fired up. But I'll just give you. He's a ham guy. He's not a turkey guy.
I saw that.
He's all about ham, and he feeds the cranberry sauce to the dogs, which I'm not into. The cranberry out of the can is delicious. I don't know.
The best.
I don't know what we're doing getting rid of cranberry like that, but yeah, he's all about the ham, and I feel like everybody loves knocking the turkey now.
That tweet was out there that he liked the ham, and everyone was like, I like ham too. What is wrong with turkey? What is this anti-turkey movement?
I don't know, but I think Big Ham is out to like really take over
Definitely.
this holiday. I
Yeah.
mean, Carlos was telling us that you guys don't do turkey.
I haven't done turkey in 10 years. I haven't looked back. My wife does a roast pork. She's been doing it the last 3 years. It's phenomenal. I'll bring you guys some on Monday.
Gotta be honest. Oh, that's nice of you. I gotta be honest. I'm intrigued, and I'm fine with turkey. It's great, sure, but I think we can do a little better. Can't we?
I love turkey. It's my favorite.
There's
thing.
a reason we only have it once a year.
I think turkey is only good if you do it correctly, which is two things. Either you got to fry it,
Yeah.
or you have to know what you're doing if you're going to bake it. Like my girlfriend figured out a way to oven roast it in a way that kept it moist, kept it. Do a dry brine, people.
Yep.
Please do a dry brine. If you do that and you do everything else correctly, right herbs, it'll be awesome.
No,
if
it's
you don't know what
good.
you're doing, it's dry, it's nasty, and I understand. But if you do it right, it's done well.
I just think maybe we could zhuzh it up a little bit, you know?
Well, I
Whether
think-
that's ham or roast pork, something.
But you get all this. One thing, if you do have a dry turkey, then you mix in the sides. That's why you have stuffing
gravy.
and cranberry and gravy.
That doesn't do anything though. It's still the meat is still dry as hell.
But you put gravy on it, then the meat, by definition, that's what you're doing. You're kind of dressing up a dry turkey. I know it's not ideal. I agree. Yes, of course I want a well-prepared turkey. But the reason the sides exist, it's a safety valve. It's a backstop in case somebody can't cook a turkey.
Yeah, but see, I don't want a backstop. I want something that's going to be ready to go regardless of the players around them. I want someone who can carry the team. Turkey needs to be carried. Turkey's a bus driver, okay? And it's not like these other big menu items that only be carried by other people.
Ham is a ham and cheese sandwich. Is ham really ready for prime time? Maybe steak or filet or what's
Here's a
prime
question.
rib, but ham?
I didn't grow up with my parents making a lot of ham. Can you does ham ever get dry? Can you see, it's kind of foolproof.
If you overcook it, yes.
It does get bad?
If you overcook it,
Okay.
yeah.
Sorry.
But I mean, it's kind of ham is hard to screw up though. It's harder. It's
That's what I'm
much easier to cook than turkey.
But does anyone get excited about, wow, let's really go out and splurge and get ham?
Yeah.
Oh, Christmas? Yeah.
Christmas
ham is a big
absolutely.
thing.
But say it's a normal day. It's in March. Like
That-
okay,
in my family,
Well, you're not
that
having
was the
turkey
thing.
in April either. Like,
well, I just
You
say
can't
it's
be
like
comparing
ham.
roast ham
I
with
think
a ham
ham
and
is
cheese sandwich.
an everyday thing.
Pete's right. You can't compare a ham and cheese sandwich to like a spiral ham.
I don't
like a
know,
honey baked
but
ham. Like that's like they sell those things like hotcakes.
so if I was telling you, okay, I'm going out to a steak dinner, you're like, no, I'm going to go get some ham. You'd say no to Peter Luger's Steakhouse to go eat ham?
But you're comparing. Wait, that's unfair because we were talking about ham versus turkey.
Yes, not ham versus
not ham
porterhouse.
versus.
I understand.
tomahawk.
I've had those nice Christmas hams are great, but I don't think that is really the alternative. If I have any alternative, it's not going to be ham.
Gotta be honest. Looks
I'd
like
have prime
Dan
rib.
Campbell does have this hot take. It looks like this is polarizing.
I know in
Throw out the
my
poll.
family, when we did ham after Thanksgiving, Christmas, it was still a big hit throughout the winter. That was that. If my mom said I'm making a ham this weekend on Sunday,
Yeah.
it was
Everyone rejoices.
yeah, it was like the Knicks won a championship.
Wow. It's as close as you can.
Yeah.
Pete, what else you got?
Yeah, a little wild card to add to this. Maybe it's a little Long Island, but how about lasagna? Lasagna's a bus driver. Nobody's disappointed in lasagna.
A Thanksgiving lasagna, definitely for the paisans for sure. And I love it. I think it's great. And I'm all for I love the tradition, like the green bean casserole, the cornbread, the gravy, the stuffing, the cranberry sauce. But give me a little something else.
Yeah, I'm not.
I love a sweet potato.
I'm glad we're all breaking up for the holiday. I'm not spending any Thanksgiving with any of you people.
Why? Because we want to go outside the lines?
Yes, I love Thanksgiving dinner. I dream about it and think about it for months on end, and then I go show up at your house and it's lasagna and ham. I'm
You're
sorry,
like,
I
is it
would walk away.
Easter?
Thanksgiving dinner is my favorite, and to ruin it with these alternative, newfangled dishes is terrible.
I do appreciate several New Yorkers, obviously, as Pete mentioned, Long Islanders, a lot of Italians, obviously. I love that they decided, you know what, we're just going to do whatever we want. Like, forget your stuffing, forget
Italian
your
food's
turkey.
still the best,
We're just doing eggplant. We're doing lasagna. Like, I kind of like that energy. I kind of respect that.
There is something
Still
about
firing up the oven.
Yeah, when people, yeah, right. When I know this just because I have so many friends. I grew up in a place that is extremely Italian, upstate New York, and Binghamton is so Italian. It's like we know our food's the best, so why are we gonna compromise?
Yeah.
Like we're just gonna keep making our type of food because you know you love it. It's a great point, Pete.
That's what I'm here for.
Thank you very much, Pete. Have a fantastic Thanksgiving to you and yours. You've been crushing it this morning. We appreciate it.
Yeah, look forward to that
Appreciate
tuna
y'all.
casserole you're rocking at your Thanksgiving meal.
It's burgers on the grill is what we're doing for Thanksgiving.
Oh, I'm so excited for Thanksgiving. What are you having? I'm having bass.
Our pal Mike in California is on the horn. Hey, Mike, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you guys doing?
Well, if we're talking about food, we got to talk to our pal Mike in California. Mike, what do you have planned? You'd probably do something outside the box for Thanksgiving.
No, not real. Well, a little. I usually do a turkey on the smoker, but I do a wet brine for about 3 days prior, and then I rub down the inside of the skins with rosemary, melted butter, garlic, smoke that. Then I do a giblet gravy with stuffing, homemade mashed potatoes, and I'll do sautéed Brussels sprouts with a honey mustard glaze and pancetta.
I mean, we'll be there in an hour.
Wow. Did not disappoint.
I'm with Perloff. Turkey for Thanksgiving, ham is for Christmas Eve, and prime rib is for Christmas Day.
Yeah, we do prime rib with my husband's family. What do you have for us on the Army-Navy rivalry, Mike? We know that you're a former service member.
Yes, I'm all about the Army-Navy game. And Maggie, I think I even told you at the beginning of the season when you were trying to select your college team and said you have to take a service academy because by far the best rivalry game is Army-Navy. And the biggest reason for it is it doesn't matter what college you graduate from. If you've served, you automatically bypass your own personal team for the Army-Navy game, and you go with whichever branch you served in.
Mike.
So it's not just the college, but it's also the fans. That's also all the service members and the service members' families.
Cool.
I love it. I remember that call. It was a great one. My one was I couldn't pick because I didn't serve. Do I pick Army? Do I pick Navy? Do I pick Air Force? And I was afraid I was going to alienate whoever I didn't pick.
Well, you never pick Air Force, okay? But you can pick Army one year and then Navy the next year.
Oh, and just
then
go
that
back
way you
and
get
forth.
both of them done.
I like that. Mike, thank you so much. Have a great Thanksgiving with that menu. I don't know how you could go wrong.
Why did Air Force take a shot there? What's wrong with Air Force?
Carlos gave it a thumbs up.
Because, the Air Force, a.k.a. the Chair Force, their quality of life is just so much better than the other branches that we just dismiss them. You can only be smart to be in the Air Force, and they complain that they don't have a salad fork to go with their meal.
Oh, wow.
Hard living, the steak and lobsters in the same bucket.
Wow. Surf and turf.
They kind of, by the way, did you guys see the alternative? What did Army-Navy decide to go Oregon? Their uniforms are wild for this next
Yeah,
game.
the uniforms are cool. I know the Navy uniforms, they did some tribute. The Army uniforms, that's a shout out to the 3rd ID division. Those uniforms are sick.
Very cool.
Wow. What is a 3rd ID?
I have to explain it off break. It's like a long
That's amazing.
thing. Yeah.
I'm so into it. Yeah, I don't understand, to be honest.
855-212 for CBS, 855-212-4227. Okay, we've got Maggie and Perloff picks coming up, Maggie and Perloff style. We'll make them next. Don't move. More show in moments.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Love songs today because we found out that EJ loves The Bachelor. Let's quickly get to our shot of the day, brought to you by Casamigos Tequila. Casamigos brought to you by those who drink it.
He shoots!
And boy, what goes better with Thanksgiving than Casamigos? Got to go to Casamigos.com. You got to look at the cocktail list there. If you really want to impress your guests, this is what you have to do. And of course, we are thankful that Casamigos wants to be a part of this show, and we appreciate them so much. Today's shot of the day comes from earlier. We were debating the best moment that exists on television, non-sports division. I believe it is still when someone wins a car on The Price is Right. EJ thinks it's when the Bachelor, Bachelorette picks their person. I saw The Price is Right the other day for the first time in 20, maybe 10 years. So I was watching the other day on the treadmill because now we're in this new schedule and TV habits are all different now and all that stuff. I maintain watching somebody win a car on that show is still the best moment we have on TV right now, non-sports edition.
To me, and maybe I'm biased because I watch the show weekly now. To me, the end of a season of The Bachelor or The Bachelorette, when the person you rooted for wins, quote
Carlos
unquote.
just got up and he's walking
and
out.
you see
He's
the
outta
proposal.
here.
I mean, when Dotton won the Bachelorette season, I mean, I jumped off my couch.
There you go. we still really, besides the Showcase Showdown from the prices, or from what was it, Wheel of Fortune? Not Showcase Showdown, the Wheel of Fortune final. What's it called?
I have no idea.
At the end,
I don't know either.
That was the only
For
other
Wheel of Fortune?
suggestion.
Yeah, I don't think they have a name for it. It's just the end.
It's just
the
the end.
last puzzle.
The Showcase Showdown is obviously still with the prices right. Okay, we have to quickly get to our picks.
Maggie and Perloff's NFL picks.
Well, it could be going worse for me. 13-20 on the season. I'm sinking like a stone. Perloff in good shape at 19-14. One against the spread, one over under, one player prop. Perloff, take it away.
Okay, let's go. Let's alternate. I'm going to start with my total.
Okay.
Panthers, Titans. What would you expect the total on this game? First of all, they're trying to
17.
They're trying to get lower and lower. I have the total at 36.5. And I can't really understate my lack of confidence in Will Levis and Bryce Young. Therefore, I'm confidently picking the under.
I'm going to go with the Thanksgiving game. Green Bay and the Packers. Give me over 47. It's early. I know maybe people are just getting up and getting awake, but these defenses, I don't see a lot, especially from the Lions, who will allow teams to score. We saw with the Chargers' bad defense, Green Bay was able to put some points up, so I'll take over 47.
Okay, for my game pick.
Against the spread.
Yeah, against the spread. This one is really tough for me. I think I'm going to put a little faith in EJ's Houston Texans. Take them. They're getting 1.5 points at home against the Jaguars. I think the bottom line with the Jaguars is they're not good against good teams and they're good against bad teams. Now, I think Houston's a good team. I don't know for sure, but I have faith in CJ Stroud. Divisional game. This is a huge game. If Houston wins this one, they're right there in the AFC South. I'm going Houston Texans.
Okay, I'm also going to stick with Thanksgiving on this one and give me the 49ers. And I know it's a touchdown, but I'm going to lay the touchdown with the 49ers because this rivalry, if you will, has been pretty lopsided recently. And the 49ers have the better team. I feel like, Geno Smith got knocked out of the game, did come back in for the final drive against the Rams, but last week they end up losing. I'm a little nervous here about the Seahawks and what's going on. Meanwhile, the 49ers keep gaining steam. So give me the 49ers. I'll lay the touchdown.
Absolutely. Okay, my prop. I had a huge debate. I want to bet against Tim Boyle. His total passing yards, Jets quarterback, 160.5, which is juicy.
160?
160.
Okay.
But the one that's even better, the under on his completion, 17.5.
Ooh, begging you.
But Zach Wilson has 1 million completions because he only throws the ball about 2 yards down line. I still think I got to go on that completion number. Under 17.5 completions, Tim Boyle.
Okay, mine's going to be, I think they're trying to get Dak the MVP. So again, I'll turn to Thanksgiving. Just give me a Dak Prescott anytime touchdown. It's plus money. So I'll take it. I think this is the big showcase, another showcase game for the Cowboys, as it always is on Thanksgiving. Commanders, I think this is a good spot for Dak to do a little more step padding. So anytime TD.
Okay. You mean rushing, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay. Dak's been using his legs like crazy. Does he need to here? Oh, this is fun. Oh, my gosh. So you're all in on Thanksgiving weekend.
Well,
all right.
His passing props was 1.5, and it's just like nowadays, like, pass interference gets called. Things get called back.
I know.
Did you have a toe in the
Is there anything more frustrating than when you bet a certain thing and there's a call, they get it down to the 1 yard line?
I'll just go with the one rushing.
Little tush push. If he gets a tush push, that'd be the best way to do it.
That's going to do it for us. Wow. What a show. Thank you, DJ Stewart. Thank you to Carlos Ortiz. Thank you to Rami, who's doing our social today. Pete McCarthy was on updates. You guys, the Weedos, the coffee drinkers, callers today about our greatest college football rivalry. Just chef's kiss.
Love it. Enjoy your ham out there, people.
Have a great
Weirdos.
holiday. We'll see you, Mike.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining.